You're listening to the Gamecasters.
Natalie, Jeff, and Ryan are the Gamecasters, and they do a board game show, inboxes, and nooks and games, and top 5 lists, and sometimes there's fart jokes. Hey, you droopy little uneven gamesticles, where the recipe for gaming life is created. How the heck have you been? It's been about a month since we've talked at you narcissistically for 3-ish hours, and I never bathe in between episodes because, bad luck. So I know it's been so long by the perpetual scowl on Natalie's face, and I know what you're thinking. How can you differentiate between her normal scowl she has for just being married to you with the non-bathing one? Well, the non-bathing scowl also comes with a lot of nose plugging and dry heaving. That's how I know it's time for a new episode, The Filth Signal. Well, The Filth Signal has been in the toilet for going on 4 weeks now, so after we have a slight intervention about hygiene, we'll get on with the episode. We'll be right back. And we're back. I just found out all the ways my behavior has affected those around me. So, I was just a guest host on the recent Date Night Thrice episode. Have you guys listened to that?
Yes.
Awesome. I had a great time with Ben and Em, and there was a funny behind-the-scenes thing that kind of happened during recording. If you don't know about the Date Night Thrice podcast, go check it out. It's Ben and Em from the Date Night Dice Instagram account, and their best friend Ken coming together to give their top 3 things of the month.
Nerdy stuff.
Nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
Board games, video games, tabletop.
TV.
TV movies, sex toys.
Yeah, whatever
right?
they feel like.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anything they
Whatever
want to do.
into.
Whatever they're into. When I was on, we could have picked between tabletop games, video games, movies, and TV. But we record on video, and you have to put your name on the video. So I put my name in there as Ken to frighten and confuse their audience. Mm-hmm. Well, there's this little private chat window that you can use to talk to each other. And while we were recording, I noticed that Emily's microphone appeared to be muted. It looked like as we were talking, I could hear her, but it had the mute sign on her,
over the video.
Yeah, and I was so we're all talking. I'm kind of oh shit, what if for whatever reason it's not recording her?
Yeah, so it's just you and Ben, and then it'd be
yeah, and then just
nothing.
She's nothing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. She's right. So I'm fuck, I better say something, but I'm not gonna cut him off. We were in the middle, and it was 40 minutes in, and I was shit. So I pulled up the private chat. And I just wrote hey, I don't know if you guys know, but M's mic looks like it's muted. Is this normal? I don't know. Just want you to be aware. And Emily writes back pretty much immediately, and she's yeah, this is just kind of how it works with the way we have our microphone set up, but it's fine. I'm not actually muted.
Okay.
And so maybe 10 minutes go by, and we keep talking, and the episodes go on. All of a sudden, Emily's in the middle of talking, and I see another chat come up, and it's Ben. And he's like, oh, hey, man, are you going to jump in at some point? And I'm looking at him what? And they're just talking like normal. No one's saying anything. And I'm what is he going on? I'm oh, my name is Ken.
He's talking.
So he sees Ken.
Thought Ken joined.
And he thought Ken was in the chat and was telling him this. And I'm okay, what do I say now? I'm I gotta keep it up. Right?
So you tricked him?
Oh yeah, I tricked him for.
You tricked him.
I tricked him for 5, maybe the whole episode. I was I want to jump in on this man, but me and Megan, which is Ken's wife, have been going at it for hours, and I'm a little raw.
No, you did.
Yeah, and he wrote back, what the fuck? You're a bit raw? And I wrote back, yeah, you know how I be.
Something Ken would totally say.
Good point. Yeah, exactly. And that's why he's that's why we call you Raw Dog in college, right? So they call Ken Raw Dog in college. None of this is true.
Yep.
But I did.
I hate you.
Okay, it is true that he thought I was Ken for a brief moment, and then I was it's me. Actually, I didn't say it's Ryan.
You never raw dogged Ken's wife.
There was no raw dog in Ken's wife. Yeah, he wasn't raw. I mean, that could have happened.
Yeah, could have.
What a coincidence!
Never
if it
met
did.
her,
Wow.
but it could have happened.
But I didn't say, oh, it's Ryan. What I said was, it's me. You know that it's me, right? And so then, for whatever reason, that did trigger Ben to be oh, I thought it was Ken. But then later, he's you never said.
Yeah, it could have still been Ken.
It still could have been Ken.
Yeah.
He's I don't know how the hell he would have gotten in this chat. But anyway, so that's pretty funny. Anyway, go listen to the newest episode of the Date Night Thrice podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, after you listen to this, of course, to hear even more talk about what we're going to be talking about pretty much for this entire episode. There's even some more stuff that we talk about there. And it was a lot of fun. I had a good time on that podcast. And what is up with you guys? Jeff, what's been going on?
Okay. I've been addicted to a phone app game.
Oh,
Really?
Okay, I know what it is.
I think this is the hot game now. This is very hot. Okay, I've been playing Marvel Snap for about a week, and I can't stop playing.
I'm a little surprised.
I never play phone games.
Yeah, you don't play phone games. How did you get into
honestly,
this?
the only phone games I play are like Subway Runner, like stupid shit
Yeah.
where
Yeah,
it's like,
like mindless,
toilet
yeah.
games, right? You sit on the toilet, you play for 5 minutes, and it's over. So I don't remember what I was listening to or watching, and these people were like, "Oh, I just couldn't stop playing Marble Snap." I'm like, "Let me give it a try," and then I just haven't stopped playing
What is it?
So I don't even know. I don't even know what kind of like card game it would be. Would it be like a CCG, maybe, whatever? Okay.
Okay,
So
it's a card game.
yeah, so it's a 2-player card game. So you're playing with someone randomly on their, so they just match you up, right?
Oh, okay.
And you have a deck of cards, and they're all Marvel characters, and all the Marvel cards have different abilities, and you play them to one of 3 locations. And each location has like a power. So it'd be like +1 power. This one, the abilities don't work. Or, if you're winning this, you get a bonus. Some shit at each of these locations. So in the first round, you play 6 rounds. In the first round, you get 1 like point of energy to spend on your smaller card. So each card has like strength and it has a cost. So in the first round, you can play a 1 energy. In the second round, you can play a 2, or you can play 2 1s, or whatever card you end up drawing. And that's it. That's the whole game. And you try to like create these combos and locations because it's like, oh, this one will let you get 5 power for each card at each location across from you. You're trying to, I don't know. I don't understand why I like it.
Is it free?
Yeah. The whole
I wanna
thing's
get
free.
it.
You can just download
Do
it.
it.
Right
Is
now.
it gotcha
We'll be
stuff?
back.
Like can you? Do you have
can,
to
like-
do you like buy other things on it?
You can. So
But you don't have
can
to.
buy like monthly passes and get
Like
get
better
special
stuff.
cards, but there are ways to just play through. Like if you play the game enough, you can eventually get that card.
Yeah.
But what's nice is they use that money and there's no ads. So there's no like
Even the free version has no
the free
ads?
version has no ads
No
as
shit.
long as they're keeping up money. I'm assuming with people who are buying
Yeah.
the
It is Marvel,
$9.99
I
a
guess.
month pass or
Yeah.
whatever. There's no like in between matches ads or anything you have to like X out of. So you can just like keep
That's
playing and
cool.
playing and playing.
You can just have it.
You can just have it. And then there's like ability to make a bunch of different decks. You can only have, I think, 20 cards in your deck or maybe 16 or something in your deck. So you can make a bunch of different decks and try to find like the best combos of,
Natalie's favorite
snack.
Yeah, she loves
You
that.
can like put, and I don't know, I just want to keep playing it.
I gotta download it.
I think you just have to
if it's
download it.
gotten you
I
and you're
know.
impossible to get on that stuff,
I
then I saw you post that in Discord. And I was like, what?
I know, I'm like,
Is
is
someone
anyone
hacked?
playing a phone
That's
game?
why I
Is
wanted to
his
post
account
it.
hacked again?
I'm like, I
Who
just
is
want to
this?
post it and see if anybody else is playing it. And a couple people were like, yeah, I'm playing it. Or
Yeah.
Mick, I think, said his daughter was playing
And
it.
Eddie said Christopher, the other the owner of the Upkeep Games, was playing it all
Played
Nerdfest
it all
long.
Nerdfest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think I'm like maybe a little behind when it was like the hottest, but it's still like,
not very far behind.
Not
it's
far.
Only a few weeks out, I think.
and it's,
Because I saw it come out, and I thought it was a board game at first. The way people were talking
Yeah.
about it, I was like, "Oh, a new board game, Marvel Snap, a new card game."
Right.
And then when I heard it was a cell phone game, I got disappointed. I was kind of like, "Oh,
it seems like
shit.
it would be a really fun, it would be borderline annoying if it was a board game because you'd have to somehow have like, oh, this triggered this, and then the phone does
the phone
that
just
for
does
you
all that
so
stuff.
fast.
Yeah.
You remember, was it
Sentinels of the
Hiroshima Hex
Multiverse?
or-
Oh, that
Yeah,
too.
Sentinels of the
That
Multiverse
too.
would be is an amazing app game because it does it for
Yeah,
you.
it does it all for you.
Or
You're
Hiroshima
right.
Hex is like,
Great
I move
app.
here and it has these things happen. So, sometimes I put a card out there. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot it did that extra thing. It like does it for you. It would be
You don't
so
have to think about
annoying
it.
as a collectible card game or an
Because then you'd have to
LCG
like
or whatever.
remember all that stuff.
Yeah, you'd have to have
yourself.
like shitload of tokens and
Man,
this kind of
Hiroshima Hex
stuff.
was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Remember that game?
I do.
Damn, that was a.
But the most annoying part of that was trying to figure out what your power
what
was. your
goes
strength
next,
was.
or like,
Yeah, what the
who
order
attacks
of-
who first, and how does that work?
But I've been like, I just been playing it.
Marvel Snap.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how long. Like, I'm curious of how long it's gonna get me. Like, is
Yeah.
it one more week and then I don't know. I'll update you in 2 weeks. I'll update everybody in 2 weeks.
Well, I'm gonna download it. I think because
Yeah.
I'm always looking for a new mindless video game to play.
That could be it. That's and it's a good toilet because the
Yeah,
game
'cause it's on your phone.
Because you play 1-on-1, it takes 3 minutes and you're done.
Okay, so it's just a PvP.
Yeah.
but you play against a computer.
No, you play
No,
against people.
Oh,
So
you're
it'll
always
match you up
playing-
against somebody else has a deck.
okay.
And for at least right now, as I like start to level up, I don't even know what like level 20, whatever. It seems like the progression of who they match you with is pretty good.
Good. You're not getting obliterated.
So-
when
I'm not
you
getting
first start.
obliterated, but I'm winning more than I'm losing, which is good. And I think that's how you kind of like move up.
Are the games quick?
Yeah, 3
Because like,
minutes.
do you ever have
You'll be,
a situation where like the person just like suddenly just like stopped playing?
yeah. Then you just like win. You automatically win.
Oh,
If they like
okay. They,
retreat,
like,
but it takes
forfeit.
3 minutes. It's not like,
Yeah, right.
and you have a
So it's
timer.
not
So if you don't
likely.
play a card in a certain amount of time, you automatically lose.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
So it's meant to be like a quick.
yeah.
You only play 6 cards. Like you play 6 rounds. It could be more than 6 cards, but you play
Yeah.
6 rounds and that's it.
Cool. So it's
Sounds
not like
good.
Words with
Yeah.
Friends where it's like you're waiting
No,
for like
you're
a whole
not
day
waiting.
for them.
No, it's not that. You're playing it in the moment.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
And then we're watching a couple things.
What are you watching?
Have you started The Last of Us? on
No.
HBO?
No, I've heard about it. I wasn't sure if you wanted to watch it.
I'm not a
'cause
horror guy.
It's zombies
It's like
or apocalyptic.
yeah, it's borderline. It's not necessarily. They're not necessarily zombies. They're not dead, but it
Okay.
is like a post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, I'm really into
this,
that kind of
This
theme.
fungus has like taken over people, right? So it's kind of like zombies.
It's a popular video game.
It is like
I've heard it's good. I wanted
An
to watch it,
extremely
but I wasn't
popular
sure if
video
you
game.
did.
yeah, it's like yeah. There's
And
2 of them. I
This
think.
is like a couple
so-
episodes, right?
Yeah, there's
so
just
far?
it comes out weekly on
Who's in it?
a couple people from I don't know their names.
I think it's the daughter of is it Thandie Newton?
Yes,
Tandy.
Tandy, is that her name?
Tandy.
The one
Tandy.
from
Tandy.
But
Newton?
yes, a daughter.
She from Westworld.
Yeah, from Westworld.
Yeah,
And
her daughter's in it.
There is 2 people from Game of Thrones on there. Again, I don't know.
Oh, really?
People are probably yelling at him. The one girl who's like, remember the badass young girl in Game of Thrones that like she was the ruler of her
Yes.
zone. She's in it.
The Bear Island girl.
Yeah, she is. She's the
Leanna Mormont or
she's the girl. And so the premise of the video game, and this isn't spoiling anything because it's the video game's been out, is that this girl is essentially, hopefully, the cure. Right?
Mm-hmm.
She's the cure, and in the video game, you are protecting her through the video game.
Right.
And in different games, you like, or different like stages of the game, you might play like, you might see her, you might be the guy, whatever. But it's like one of Dave, Donkey Kong's favorite games ever. And everything I'm reading about it, and Devin's even listening to a little podcast about the show.
Wow.
It's like so true to the game.
Yeah, I've heard
People
that.
are like, even the nerds who fucking hate everything are loving this show, and just like they're working with the video game designer is working on the crew. They're even like making these like the I'm gonna call them paper mache. No, what's like when they do like
the
makeup and like the I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Basically, working with like the makeup and the prosthetics is what I'm trying. The prosthetics are like they look like the video game. The shots of like how the angle of like this person walking away is like the video game, and it's been getting great feedback from the nerd world, which can be hard to please.
And what
because
about you?
I love it. I think it's great so far. So I'm
yeah,
2 in.
I'm into. I want to see it.
I
All right.
think you should. Start
Okay,
it.
maybe I'll watch it.
Yeah, because I was
into watching
over the zombie thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
Walking
Yeah.
Dead. I'm like, okay, I'm over that kind of thing.
Yep.
But I think it's been far enough removed from Walking Dead.
Yeah, that it's not.
Yeah.
This is now not part of that trope,
Right.
Or the
Right.
zeitgeist.
That
it's a
theme
different. It's
in
far enough from
any post-apocalyptic type setting is I'm very drawn to in like books and movies and
Okay.
TV shows.
This would be right
I
up
just
your- you
I
would
don't know
love it.
why. Like the only now I've read
The
Misery,
Stand?
but the only Stephen King book I read for a while was The Stand because I was like, well, I'm into that theme.
Well, I'm into
even though
that.
this book's like 800
Yeah.
pages long.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that we just watched was called The Pez Outlaw on Netflix.
Is it like Pez? Like Pez
Like
dispensers?
Pez
Yeah.
dispensers?
Oh,
Have you seen
man.
this?
No, I've
You
never
got to
heard
watch
of
it.
it.
It's an hour and 20 minutes or hour and 25 minutes. It's just one thing done documentary about this guy that smuggled Pez dispensers from Europe to the United States to sell them because they were like exclusive rare Pez because US Pez dispensers are different from world Pez dispensers.
Really?
And he was like, he like lives in Michigan. He lives in Lansing. He
What's his name?
would go to
What's his name? Maybe I
forget
know
his
him.
name.
Yeah.
But he like
I know this guy.
the story just keeps like unraveling into like, how is this true? How is
Like,
this
what?
like why is this a thing?
And then he gets a documentary
his
about
arch
it.
nemesis is like the president of Pez who calls himself the Pesident.
Oh yes.
It's so
Awesome.
and I think it's kind of funny. So they do these like reenactments, in some of these documentaries, they reenactment, but
Yeah.
he is playing himself in the reenactment, which is so cool. And I don't know,
Oh my
it was
God.
Is
just
it just funny, or is
Yes.
it like what's
it's
it
not
called?
ridiculous.
It's called the Pez Outlaw.
Pez Outlaw.
It's
on
going to be a little
Netflix?
ridiculous. There's going to be moments where you're like laughing because they interview
'Cause you're
all these
like,
like
what?
Pez collectors, right? Who know
Yeah.
this guy, and they're like, yeah, this is the guy. Like, this is where I would
Pez
buy this
Outlaw.
from.
Janet, write that down.
Yeah,
Janet.
I wish I had an assistant
Yeah,
named Janet. I could
That's
tell
like
her to
from
do
The
stuff.
Good
notes.
Place.
Hey Janet.
Janet. Yeah, Janet from The Good Place.
Oh man,
She's the best.
that
Say
sounds
Janet and
awesome,
she
man.
appears.
The Pez Outlaw.
The Pez Outlaw. So yeah,
Outlaw.
watch that. It's an
Okay.
hour again. It's worth the hour and a half. I'm glad it's not some 4-part hour. Like
Yeah,
that
it
would be
wasn't.
stupid. But this hour and a half is worth just the kind of silly roller
Yeah.
coaster. And it's like Pez. It was like our childhood, right? Was like everybody wanted a Pez, but I never
still
thought
want a
about
Pez.
Yeah, collecting
Give me some
thousands
Pez.
of them.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love a Pez dispenser?
I know. It opens up its face and you get free
you
candy.
take candy from its throat.
Yeah.
From the Adam's apple of every Pez dispenser comes delicious candy.
Natalie, what's up with you?
What's up with me? The only thing I can really think of that's new is I started
Period.
Well, let me tell you. Let me tell you what happened.
God.
I started.
The only thing.
You started
you all to
watching The
know.
Last of Us. I started my period. I guess we're
There's
on the
nothing new.
level.
The only thing new
That's
with
not
me
new at all.
is
I've been doing that since
blood.
age
We play
11.
a lot of Blood Rage this week. Sorry.
What I was actually going to say is I started going to acupuncture.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like all over your body or your face or?
Well, they haven't put it in my face, but they put it like everywhere else.
Okay.
Everywhere else,
put
Jeff.
They put it in.
The needle.
Everywhere
Yeah,
else.
okay.
They put it everywhere.
Is this to help like your back, shoulder? Is this like are you just going?
Just general.
Everywhere else?
Okay.
I want to talk about this everywhere else.
Yeah.
Not your face, but everywhere
Tell us where
else.
they stick it.
They stick it in the top in my scalp.
Oh.
They stick it in my ears.
You look like
In your ear?
inside my
Like
ear.
in the drum?
No, like
Oh,
in like
poke a
here,
hole
In
in
the symbol?
and like the sides of my necks, my abdomen, my
So you
legs.
just look like- what's
my,
that-
What about your buttock?
my
What's
wrists.
that guy?
No,
What's the
I'm
horror
laying on
guy
my
with
back.
the nail sticking out of his head? Is that
Yeah,
you?
that's exactly what Hellraiser.
Hellraiser.
That's all I'm
you.
thinking of.
You're Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah.
Take a picture.
I haven't
in the
even looked at
Discord.
them. I just lay there and she puts them in. The cool thing is like you literally don't feel them.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Isn't it crazy?
I just lay there and they stick it in and I don't feel it.
Just like at home.
Well, okay.
Just like at home.
I just lay there and Ryan sticks
It's
it
so
in.
crazy.
I don't feel it. It's awesome.
She did like the first time. I was like, I'm really nervous, and she like put the first needle in, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, I didn't feel anything.
She was like, is it in?
Do you feel like, is this helping something? Like, are you like, feel
Yeah.
like, okay, I feel, other than having
The
tiny holes in your body,
Yeah.
you feel like bleeding
That
a little bit
never
everywhere?
close.
The main thing I noticed the first like time I did it was like my energy level, like my fatigue. Like I would have a lot of
We
like
got stabbed. It's adrenaline.
yeah, I have a lot of like swings.
Your fight or flight is engaged.
Okay, yeah.
Like throughout the day, like I'll like wake up groggy and it takes me forever to wake up, and then I'll be okay, and then mid afternoon I like dip and then I'm back up. You know what I mean? Where I remember like every single day I'd wake up and I'm like good until like I went to sleep.
So
And it was
what's
like very even.
What is in the tips of these needles?
Nothing. They put them in certain spots in your body. I'm not going to get into it.
no, it's okay.
It's very like, so it's like also like
Homeopathic-y?
Yeah. It's like, it's the whole point is to like,
Feel really naughty.
it's all
Poke
about
you.
like your
Yeah.
chi and get
Get
your
poked.
energy
Get
like
poked.
flowing
Your chi-cha.
correctly in your body. Like, so everything's
Okay.
like, you know, how it's supposed to be. And
Yeah.
she puts it in places depending.
If you if you're feeling better about it, keep doing it.
yeah.
Chi-cha,
I don't know. I think it's cool.
I always felt like that when I would be better on like my diet and I was eating better. Is that energy level? I would wake up, be good.
Yep.
And all the way through that. Whenever I eat bad, it always like I always feel like shit
All the
up
time.
and down throughout the day.
For sure.
We're back doing the diet. So I'm
good.
doing
All right.
Optavia
Yeah.
again. And the first thing I noticed, and you said this, I remember, Jeff, you told me this the first time we did it, is my sleep is better.
Yeah. You
That's
actually
the
fall
very
asleep,
first
right?
thing I notice is I sleep. Well, normally I sleep. I have the weirdest sleep pattern. I'll fall asleep and then I wake up at like 3 a.m. Like clockwork, and then I'm up for an hour at least.
That's
and then I have to like wind myself back down and then go back to sleep. For when I'm doing this Optavia, I sleep the whole night for some reason.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
And that
It's
helps
weird.
everything.
Everything.
Right.
Oh yeah, everything.
So if you feel better,
Yeah, I do.
that's cool.
everywhere they put
I
them
wanna get it.
everywhere.
I want to get stuck.
Yeah, get stabbed.
Well, it's
Go
like,
get stabbed,
yeah,
man.
you just like lay there.
I would
she
give it a
puts them
try.
in. She turns the light off. She leaves for like 30 minutes, and you just like lay there and kind of just like relax.
I would fall
And then
asleep.
she comes back.
Yeah, she says she
I
almost
almost
does,
fall
yeah.
asleep. Like
Yeah,
every
if someone
time.
put me in a room, turn the lights out, and
Yeah,
30
good night.
minutes of no one talking to me, I'm
Right.
sleeping.
No kids,
and I'm
nothing.
not
Yeah,
gonna,
sleeping.
I'm not gonna fucking move. There's needle all over me. You know.
What if you
so I'm
fell
just, like,
asleep
laying really
and she
still.
didn't do anything to you, and she's like, "Okay, I'm done." Came back in 30 minutes. You just had like a nap room.
Yeah. That'd be great.
She even like puts
think
like
my
I would pay
insurance would cover
somebody
that?
for that.
Yeah.
I would totally pay for
she
the
puts
nap
needles
room.
in like my wrist, and so she puts this little like device in my hand, and so
What?
like my thumb is on a button. So if I need something, I just have to push the button because I can't like get up.
Oh, it's a panic button.
Yeah.
Yeah. Help
If I
me.
need her to like come
get
back
me.
in or something.
Right.
I'm bleeding.
Right. Yeah. I'm bleeding
Stab me.
out.
Someone stab me.
There's
She was
needles in
like-
me. I don't know if you know this, but
She
are
was
you
like,
aware?
if you do
They're in
fall
my head.
asleep, that's normal. She's like, but just really try not to move. You know,
Right.
just like, what if you like?
God.
Yeah, if you sleep,
But don't
then you
move, you
roll.
might die. Like,
what
it's okay if you fall asleep,
forgot?
but you die. You might die.
Yeah, because you could just like shove the needles inside.
Yeah,
your,
like if you twitch and
"Ah!"
it's like, oh,
But the
Now
needles are
I'm-
like
now
so
I'm-
you can't
Yeah,
feel them
they're
because they're so thin. They're almost like, think of like a really thin like wire.
I don't want to be stabbed with a wire.
That sounds terrible. Now I'm
Sure,
paralyzed.
You
season
literally
two.
don't feel. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Anyways, what's
Chicha.
new with you, Ryan?
That's awesome. We watched a movie. I don't watch movies typically.
Can I guess what
He
the movie
hates
is?
Yeah.
movies.
Is it Everything Everywhere All at Once?
No,
Good guess. Good
but
guess.
that is nominated for 11 Academy Awards. I'm super
it
pumped
won
about that.
Or was this nominated for the Golden Globes?
Yeah,
I think
the,
the
that
actress
usually-
won.
It won. It
correlates.
won some Golden Globes. So
Mm-hmm.
Michelle, gosh, what's her name?
Is this-
Yeah, the main actor.
It's not Michelle
right?
Kwan. That's
No,
that's
it starts with
wrong.
like
That's,
a Y?
Michelle Kwan is a
like
figure
E?
skater.
You're right.
Yeah, Michelle Kwan's a figure
Yeah.
Oh,
skater.
then who is it then? Oh, it's her name is Tanya Harding.
Yeah, that's
Right?
that's
Nancy
right.
Kerrigan.
Nancy Kerrigan. Oh shit. Who are some other women figure skaters?
That's it.
Okay, that's
What's
it.
that one?
There's
No,
no
what's the like blonde one who was like really young?
Yeah, Tanya Harding.
No, not her.
No, she was from
like,
Michigan, right? The girl from Michigan? Ashwagandha?
Optavia is the
no,
diet.
what's her
right?
name?
Britney
Oksana.
Spears? Oksana Bayul.
Yes.
Oksana Bayul.
That's not the girl I was thinking of. There's Tara Lipinski. That's
Oh.
another one.
Oh
another
yeah.
one.
Look at us go, man.
My
I'm
God.
Oh, who's the
Figure
best one?
skaters.
Christy
Christy Yamaguchi.
Oh,
yeah, she was so
my
good. The gooch. Man, the gooch. Right in the gooch. Oh, I had a crush on
Do
her.
they stick it in the gooch, Natalie, with your
Yeah,
your
well, she said
acupuncture?
everywhere else, Jeff.
Everywhere else.
My
Everywhere
pants
else.
are on.
Well,
I just have to pull them up to my
There's
knees.
30 minutes of not.
you got the gooch, baby. You know who else was really hot when I was younger was Dominique Moceanu.
Oh, I liked her.
Yeah,
What did she
God,
do?
she was. What did she
Dominic
do?
Luciano.
And Dominique Moceanu.
Is she a volleyball
No,
player?
She
She's a
did the floor
gymnast.
routine. Yeah, she did. She was one of the American gymnasts. She did the floor routine,
I think
and her floor routine music was to "Devil Came Down to Georgia," and it was like the.
Oh, yeah. Devil Down to Georgia.
Ryan went down to his Georgia.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I would like to go down in her
Oh, my
Georgia.
gosh,
Although she
speaking
was
of
like, we
that-
were. Although it's not creepy.
You were the
we
same
were
age.
both.
Yeah, you
12
were the same-
or whatever. Yeah. So
Speaking
it's
of
okay.
that, Ryan just saw this reel. We watched this reel the other day, which was like the weirdest fucking thing to me. It was like a news center. It was like CNN, I think, or something.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, you do. Okay.
You do.
You'll find out.
You
And it
do,
was like
though.
So
this
just shut up
woman
and listen.
and this man on like this news program or like CNN program or something, and she was basically like, okay, you know, you just came back to work, you know, you were
Oh,
like,
yeah. This
you were
is
like
weird.
let go or whatever, and she was like, let's just confront the situation, you know, in case the fans don't know. And the situation was he was like on a Zoom meeting and he didn't realize his camera was on or that he was in the meeting, and he started masturbating in front of everybody.
And they fired him.
And they fired him. And
well.
she, for some reason, felt like, oh, we need to bring this up in case people don't know why we were gone.
Our viewers
and I was like,
should
why?
know why you were gone for a few weeks.
And then
you
he-
were masturbating.
he
She
had
was
to,
like,
freaking talk
she was like-
about it.
She was like, so what the fuck? Why'd you do that? And he was like, well, I didn't know the
he was like-
camera was
he's
on.
like, well-
He was like, I didn't even know that I was in the meeting at all. I didn't know Zoom
He
was
was like-
on.
I didn't even know
He's
I was masturbating.
He was like, I want to say
Yeah.
in my defense, he's like, even though I'm like, there's, you know, he's basically just like, I didn't know.
There is defense. You're in your own fucking house.
I know.
If you don't know the computer's
And
on,
I was like, this poor guy.
you're allowed
like,
to fucking masturbate.
yeah.
You can just masturbate.
You're in the privacy of your home and you think no one's
Right now,
watching.
I could
You looked
masturbate.
good in the Zoom meeting. What can I say? Okay.
Yeah.
He was like,
Isn't that
I didn't
so
even know
weird?
my computer was on and the Zoom meeting was. I didn't know. He's like a boomer guy, right? So you know because it's kind of implausible to think, okay, you didn't know you were on the call. Don't you have to like accept the call?
And don't you hear the people talking?
Yeah. So somehow,
Yeah.
but I believed him. And every comment was like, why the fuck
Like, why
are
do
they
they have to bring
Why are you
this
bringing
up?
this up
Nobody
again?
needs to know this.
He's making
Right.
it more of a
No,
thing.
why would anyone ever need to know
They don't.
that he was masturbating? I'd want to know. I tell
And
me
right now,
I
people
know.
listening, two of us are masturbating.
we're masturbating
right now. Two of us.
but we don't need to be fired.
it's up
Yeah,
to
you
you
don't
to
have to
think
tell
about
you
it. Which ones?
Yeah, which one?
Yeah,
Doesn't have to be both boys.
Doesn't have to
I know
be
that's
both
what you're
boys.
thinking right now,
Yep.
but it doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to.
It's actually Natalie's both hands.
Yeah.
It's just her
Yeah.
doing it to herself. So no, the movie we just watched is it's called Vengeance. Have you heard of that?
No.
So it's by BJ Novak.
Okay.
You know,
the
Ryan
main
from The
character.
Office. Yeah, and he stars in it. And it's basically
That's pretty,
it's about this guy.
I'm gonna write a movie. And
Yeah,
I'm
and I'm going to be the star.
I know.
Oh, what am I, Ben Affleck? And so he is a podcaster. He wants to be a podcaster, basically, like a famous podcaster. How many times can I say
Say podcaster
Yeah.
one more time. Yeah.
And so he finds out basically that this girl that he used to fuck
Okay.
is dead.
Yeah, he would
Okay.
just like sleep around with a bunch of girls, and she would just have
He
to
gets
be
a
one of the
call
girls.
from her brother, and her brother's like, "Oh my gosh, she's dead! I'm so sorry. You guys were lovers and blah blah." And BJ Novak's like, "What? Who is this?"
He's like, "Who are you talking about?"
And he's like, Abby, she's dead. And he has to look at his phone. He's like, Abby. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, I hooked up with her a couple times. So he kind of like feels terrible because this guy thinks that he's like.
They're in a serious
they're lovers.
relationship. Yeah.
And he's like, oh my God, I'll pick you up from the airport. And he's like, what? He lives in New York. And he's like, what? Where do you live? Where are you guys? And he's like, we're in Texas. And he's like, so he ends up flying out there to the funeral. I'm not going to give the movie away.
Yeah.
But he flies out to the funeral and basically kind of finds out that maybe she was murdered. And so he kind of like gets in with the family.
So the brother's
and
like,
he's kinda
help me find out who did it.
Yeah, he's like,
So
we have to find out. Let's find out who did
then
it
turns
and go
into his
after.
podcast.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, so he was
named-
basically like trying to figure out a podcast to do, and he was like pitching it to this company. When he gets out here, he's like, okay, this is the podcast. I'm going to investigate this murder, with the family of the girl who they think that I was, with her, but really I just fucked her a few times,
Right.
And so it goes on from there, and it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I found
we
it
heard about it
interesting.
from the Discord. There was some people talking about it in the
Okay.
Discord that were mentioning that, I watched that and I was pleasantly surprised. And when I saw the premise, I was like, oh, okay. And BJ Novak's cool. And who else is in it?
Ashton Kutcher
Ugh.
and
Oh, yeah, Dove Cameron.
John Mayer.
Yeah, John Mayer's in it for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's in it, but he's in it for
Does he
like,
play a song?
he literally is
No.
in the first like 45 seconds of the movie and not again.
Oh.
Yeah,
You
that's
buy
it. Oh,
yourself
the grandma
one.
from
Yeah. Oh,
Matt
yeah.
Saracens' grandma.
Matt Saracens' grandma.
from Friday Night
Is in
Lights.
another
Oh,
Texas
okay,
movie
all
playing
right.
a
She's a
Texas,
grandma.
and she's
That
playing a
sounds
Texas
about right.
grandma.
Yeah,
It's
good for her.
exactly the same, but it's pretty good. It's not going to win any awards. You know what I mean?
I thought it was pretty good. There was a
Is it
lot
on-
of
Can I watch it on Amazon or something? Is it?
Yep, it's
It was
Amazon, right?
Amazon?
I think
Oh, okay.
so. I think it was Amazon.
yeah. There's like one thing that I really liked about it, and I don't know if I like should say it because I don't want to like.
The bulges. There was a lot of bulge.
No, I don't think it's a spoiler, but it's like kind of like a general
Uh-oh.
theme that I
General
really
theme.
liked about
Natalie's
it.
going to give a potential spoilery generic theme. So if you don't want to hear a
hit the 30-second
potentially
button
spoilery
forward.
generic theme about vengeance, skip ahead right
Okay.
now.
So they went to Texas, right? And they're in this like extremely rural area.
Yeah, it's not like Dallas or Houston. Or,
No,
you know,
in the
yeah,
rural juror.
it's
Right.
like they're in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
Like the guy was even like, this town, and he's like, it's like 3 hours from Dallas. He's like, this is like 4 hours from that. Like it's just
Yeah.
like in the middle of nowhere. And one thing I really liked about it was kind of like people just have this like stereotypical generalization about
each other.
rural folks.
Right.
And like they're just very like simple and like whatever, maybe even like I don't
Less
know, not that
intelligent than-
ambitious, less
yeah.
intelligent, all that stuff. And then this movie kind of like had like BJ Novak thinking that too, and then it like completely proved him wrong about them, and then there was some like even theories about why they are the way they are. I don't know. I just felt it was like
why
really
they appear
interesting.
simple and
Right, and the big like there
To the
actually is like
outside.
a lot of really smart, ambitious people, but they have nowhere to like put that energy, so it comes out in these certain ways. Like,
Cool. I'll check it out.
yeah,
it's good.
I thought it was
Yeah.
really. I thought it was had
think
some
you would like it.
interesting
Yeah,
ideas.
I'll
I think
watch
you would like
yeah.
it. Yeah, I think you would like it. And it's a quick watch.
Yeah.
It doesn't drag. I don't think
No.
really. It kind of
Yeah.
moves at a pretty quick pace, and
Okay.
then it's over,
That was
and
good.
Yeah.
it's all done.
I'm good with
So
that.
yeah, that was pretty good. That's pretty much other than Natalie's period. That's really the only thing going
Ryan,
on
Makes sense.
with.
Come on.
Okay, so I do want to talk about one other thing. So Natalie and I have been amassing. I'm lumping Natalie in with me here, just so I don't seem too psychotic. Natalie and I have been amassing a massive amount of board games over the last forever, and so my collection has ballooned. I had almost 400. I think games in my collection, if you include expansions, up to like 600.
Which is way too many for the amount of games we play. Like,
Too many.
We're like, I look in the Discord and I feel like people are like, "Oh, I usually play a game like every night or at least 3 times a week," and I'm like, "That's not us."
Right. It used to be.
It used to be, but we
But
just
yeah.
don't.
Yeah. Specifically, I can think of Shelley talking about She's like, oh, I have these, bi-weekly game nights. Lance and I try to play a few games a week. Then I have this group that meets once a month.
And I'm like, okay,
we do
maybe if having 400 games
it would
and
make
we
sense.
play that much makes sense. But yeah,
We don't play
For us,
that
it
often.
doesn't.
We
don't
play
have space.
mostly with the kids. And, Natalie and I don't play as much as we used to. So I'm like, okay, there's a lot of games in this basement of mine, of ours, that need to go. And so Natalie felt, and I agreed, that we should probably tone it down a little bit. Yeah, so we came up with like 36 games to get rid of. And if it was, honestly, it wasn't for Natalie, I would have gotten rid of
more.
Yeah, what were some
double or
of the vetoes
triple.
or like?
Yeah, so okay, so some
Did
games.
you? Yeah, how did you? Did you come up with a pile and then you both had vetoes?
No, so we
or did you
basically
both-
went
What we
through
do is
every
we-
shelf.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
if it's a maybe, we pull it out a little bit, and then
Okay.
Kind of reassess.
if it's unanimous, we take it off the shelf and put it in a pile.
There's definitely games where like if it was only me deciding, they'd be gone, or only him deciding, they'd be gone. But one of us is like, no, I want to keep
Sure.
that.
Okay.
Yep. And so the way we do is we would pull
So
it
there
out a
were
little
36
bit.
unanimous.
36
Correct.
unanimous games gone. And it's something that we had to kind of talk each other into. It was like, oh, should we get rid of that one? And
know,
it was
'cause
like,
they're not bad
we've only
games.
played it once, and it was 3 years ago.
Sure.
So, we're
Yeah,
probably
we never
not going
talk
to
about
play it
getting
again.
back to it. So
A lot of games like that.
yeah.
However, I look at my and so 36 games are gone. My shelves are still full.
Correct.
Yeah. We
Right.
had to get rid of those
can witness
to
that.
be able to put the
a
games
small
we
hole
had
over there.
stacked on
Yeah,
the
there's a
floor
hole over there.
in
There's
the
like
shelves.
there's room for a few
yeah.
additions.
down
Yeah.
there.
Right.
So like 3 to 4 more days.
Yeah.
they'll-
yeah, exactly. Then they'll be
Few more
full again.
Kickstarters.
But I'm in that
Drop it in.
I'm in that lull right now, and I wonder if anybody else goes through this. I think we've talked about this before. I go through this every so often where I just feel like I'm like, I want to purge. I want to get. There's so many
I get
games
that.
I want to play. I want to play Guild of Merchant Explorers exclusively.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I want to play Planet Unknown. I really want to play Ark Nova.
Yeah.
There's games like that where it's like they're our evergreens.
Right.
We will always want to play these games, so we'll keep them around. But there's some games in here that are really fucking good that I'm like, I would just get rid of this. I don't think we're ever we're not gonna play this for me. And if we don't play it, I don't really care. They're great, amazing games. But I could pare I look at this collection. I could in my brain pare it down to 50 and still be like, I don't know. Are we going to ever play those games?
Yeah.
So I'm in this lull right now, and I know better than to just do a mass exodus.
Yeah, you'll never get down to 50.
It will never
no matter
happen.
what
No.
your brain,
No, that
what
will
you want.
never
My
fucking
like
happen.
thing
Me
too
either.
was
I'll never
like,
get down there.
Yeah.
I don't want to get rid of something and then he buys it back. This is like a waste.
That has happened
Might as
a
well
few
just
times. It
keep
doesn't
it.
happen that often. But if you look at my Board Game Geek collection right now,
I know the percentage is low.
oh, it's extremely low of games I bought back.
Yeah.
But that's not what I was going to say. It's just crazy to me that I have my collection shows 538 games.
Okay.
But with expansion, I don't know why BGG does that. Without expansions, it's like 300.
Okay.
So I have like 300 games. Previously owned is like 910,
So you got rid of a lot.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
And the ones I've purchased
Including
back,
expansion, so pull like
yeah,
maybe
pull
700.
pull 200 out of that.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So
But still, that's a lot.
right.
to
So it's a
move.
ton of games.
So you've had your hands on 1,000 games.
Yeah,
let's say.
yeah, over the last decade,
And
which is
your
crazy.
penis on half of those.
Most of them,
Yeah, 500 to
I don't
600.
typically disclose that information unless
shouldn't.
somebody asks.
Yeah. Well, it's like when someone gets killed in a house that you're trying to sell.
Yeah, you don't tell them that
You don't tell
they
it up front, but
died.
if someone asks,
you kind of gotta
kinda have to.
say,
You can't lie.
right? Do you have to
Right.
mention the discharge? I don't ever do that.
Well, you don't. I don't know.
I say that there might be
It
a
depends
stamp
on the state you live
on
in.
there. True,
Yeah,
that's a good
it's a
point.
state. It's a state
Yeah,
by state
you're right.
thing.
It is. Michigan, I don't think matters.
I don't think
anyway.
it
So I'm in this lull right now where I just kind of want to get fucking rid of everything because I like the minimalist lifestyle.
Yeah. We want to get rid of everything in the house, too.
Did you ever go through that, Jeff? Where you just
Yeah.
like, I want to throw
Yeah.
everything away.
Yeah, I
Ryan-
get in like zones, especially when we're like organizing and cleaning. So even not specifically with board games.
Yeah,
So
just
I don't.
everything.
I don't like always want to like be cleaning and organizing the house. But when I start, like if it's like 8 a.m. and I'm like organizing, I'm like, all right, I'm just
We're doing
next
this.
3
Throw it
hours
away.
is just going to be moving bins, labeling stuff, throwing things away, and then I don't have to do it for a little while.
Right.
So yeah, I've recently looked at my game shelf, and I wonder. I'm gonna try to keep some mental notes of when this happens, but like I haven't been bringing a lot of games in, even like review copies haven't been like coming in like they have been, and I wonder if it's post like con season,
Yeah.
right? If it's,
Yeah.
if it's
If
after
it's, like, the
this
same
is
time
after
every
Gen
year.
Con,
This is the lull.
after
Yeah.
Origins, it's after Essen. and now there's not like these hot brand new games, because that then over the summer when things start showing back up and new games, now it's like, I'm buying everything.
Yeah,
This
I
looks
want
sweet.
it all.
This looks sweet. This looks
I
sweet.
want
And
everything.
you just keep wanting.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's like winter that makes me want to.
So part
that
of
makes
maybe it's
sense.
like the part of the winter
Seasonal depression.
Yeah, right.
You're just like, well, nothing new is coming out.
Yeah.
Seasonal
Let's make some
effectiveness
room.
disorder.
Or even in
Yeah.
my head, I'm like, let's make some room for now when the hotness comes back out.
Well, so that's
Yeah.
part of it too. I have like 30 Kickstarters that, and sometime in the next year or two are going to all flood in.
6,
I don't have room for 30 games.
Right.
Right.
I have
You're gonna have to
1,
purge it
2,
in.
3, 4, 5, basically 6 4x2 Calyx shelves down here.
Yeah.
Basically 6, and I don't have room. I just got rid of 36 games. Before a couple months ago, I got rid of like 60 to upkeep,
Yeah, I
right?
know.
Yeah.
So I got rid of like 90 some games in the last few months,
I told
which is
myself
awesome
I'm
that
not
upkeep
buying
has
any.
this consignment thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that's
'cause
so
you're-
You've done some of that, right?
Yeah, I brought 10, I think, over there. But that was like the first time I went over there to meet Eddie and
Yep.
talk to him. I was like, I didn't want to bring over 50 right away.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I told myself, I'm not buying any more shelves. This
Yeah.
is my space.
yeah, same. This is all we got. So.
Well, Natalie has told myself that I'm not
Sure,
buying
yeah,
Yeah.
but you
shelves.
agreed.
Yeah, and I agreed.
And I have two 5x5s and two 2x4s. One of my 2x4 is just my top 10.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So I do have like bonus
extra
space
space
there if
if
I
you
do
needed
want to, but I
it.
don't want to. Like I don't.
Yeah,
I
right.
want
You wanna
the
have
games
like the way
to
it
go on
looks.
the shelves.
That's my.
And-
I agree.
But yeah, I need to get rid of. I would like to pull 20 off the shelf.
Some lunatics ascribe to the "I can't get a new game unless I get rid of a game" thing. That just seems crazy. It just seems absolutely insane.
If I was tighter on space or like hadn't, I don't know, a smaller apartment or something where I couldn't, sure. But I have like, sure, I can put games on top. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be cool
You'll
to
make
just
it
be
work.
one in or one
It'd be
out.
sweet to do that. It's lunatics. There's
Yeah.
no fucking way I can
No.
have it.
The other day you were like, I just want to purge like everything in the house, like just like get rid of all of it. And I was
once
like,
you get in
that's
the mode.
I was like,
Yeah.
that's the hottest thing you've ever said.
Yeah.
So then you banged. And
Oh, yeah.
You were too tired
We're
to organize.
already at for the year 17 times.
Whoa, we had
Already.
86 last
Yeah.
year. And
Yeah.
So then after you had sex, you were just really too tired to organize. or
We
get
couldn't
rid of it.
organize.
Yeah.
Yeah. I organized myself
Ryan now
inside of
writes
Natalie's
that down.
nook,
He's
and
like,
that was about as much as I could
How
do.
often can Ryan say, I want to organize to have sex?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Is it like,
No.
you gotta, like,
Well, now
wait
she knows.
2 to 3 weeks now?
Yeah.
But then you might be
Well,
able
it
to
doesn't work when you
surprise
keep
her.
saying it and then you don't actually.
Yeah,
do
once
it.
in a while, I'm going to have to follow through.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a fucking bummer.
So you got
about
maybe
it.
1 or 2 more times.
But it's still,
this year
it
to do
works every time.
Yeah.
I just have to, if I have to only organize stuff and I can get into
Right,
Natalie's
like, I
nook,
moved these weights from there to there.
it
So
took
should we
forever.
like, do it or what? Should we like bang it out?
do you
Pretty hot,
think?
right? I built up a sweat.
Ooh.
Yeah. So typically this is the segment of the show where we'll talk about games we've been playing for the next like hour. And that will sort of happen still. But I wanted to replace that segment and spend some time talking about a little convention that was put on for the first time this year called Dorkathon. Dorkathon was put on in secret from the hours of 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, after the gigantic ruse that we called Nerdfest ended. It consisted of a group of hyper-exclusive people getting together in my bed to sleep.
Oh my god.
That was just me and
Me and you?
Yeah. No, 13 years ago, which is crazy. Can you believe it's been 13 years?
That's awesome.
I
and
started with my group of friends a weekend called Nerdfest, which was almost exclusively video games.
crazy. It was.
Were you
my
at the first
few.
one?
Yeah.
I had a bunch of different systems all set up in a bunch of different TVs in my basement, and the idea was just for all of us to get together and just play shit all weekend long.
Mm-hmm.
I also asked my friend Bill to bring his hot new board game called Defenders of the Realm
Oh, bring it,
over.
man.
Yeah, so it was back in 2010 when
No
that
one's gonna
first
play
came
it
out.
because we're playing Super
Right.
Nintendo.
We're playing, we're destroying
Yeah.
George Washington,
George
with
Washington
Bubble
destroy
Bobble.
me, yeah.
And yeah. But it was an ultra successful weekend. All the video games were played. Throughout the following year, the board game bug bit us badly in the bottom of the butthole and brought out the beautiful, boisterous, beloved hobby we would all continue to enjoy for the next decade plus. So beginning with Nerdfest 2011, board games were front and center, to the chagrin of a few friends of ours who were somehow
there were
immune.
some video like it was.
We always would have like a video game
was it like
system set up.
that year might have been, was that like 75 25 60 40 sort
Yeah,
of like
it was
board games were
more
there?
board games for sure, but
Yeah.
there was definitely, and there always has been, and even at Nerdfest this year, there was always been a video game station or so, being played, which is funny. Well, it grew from there. Every year, we would get together in my basement and play all the games all the days. It was an event everyone looked forward to. We even had Donkey Kong, who lived in Virginia at the time, surprise me one year by just showing up in Michigan just for Nerdfest, right?
Yep.
So many memories were born from them. Like the one time I was just in such a state of excitement about going to get a Slurpee. As me and Jeff were leaving the house, you remember this?
Yeah, that was
Jeff's
great.
like, hey, Cameron, who was a baby at the time, is just sleeping in there alone, right? And I was like, oh, yeah, shit, I guess I should stay here. We were just like walking out like, blah, blah, blah,
Like, we're
blah.
like 2 houses
He's like,
down. Like,
your son is just like in there alone.
like he's by himself.
Yeah, I was like, oh, yeah, I should probably stay.
Can you guys give me one? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So from that to like Christy tossing her Slurpee directly in the air and it falling out of the parking lot, to our friend Caitlin never having a Slurpee before in her entire life, and all of us shockingly went along to see her taste it. Are all my Nerdfest memories just related to Slurpees?
That's all mine.
That's like 3
Yeah.
Slurpee
Most
related.
of my memories. Period.
Anyway, I used to joke that if it kept growing, we'd eventually have to move it into a hall. And I would say things like, man, can you imagine if that ever happened? How awesome that would be. We'd always just laugh it off as like, because it was just our friends and some of our friends' friends who showed up. So obviously that would never happen. So fast forward to me moving out of that house and into a bigger house, but with a smaller basement. At that point, Donkey Kong is now back living in Michigan and has a basement bigger than the entire last city I lived in.
Yeah.
And so he takes over hosting duties. Nerdfest continues to thrive, and I do a lot more things to make it feel not like just a board gaming weekend. So I start getting T-shirts made, giving away games, trophies are made. We do the Tumbling Dice tournament, a class tournament. One time we did a Crokinole tournament, but Jeff is the Patty of Crokinole and does not lose, so we didn't do that anymore. Fast forward to the podcast and us talking about it on the show. A number of people wrote to us and were like, man, that sounds so much fun. I want to come. And so we opened it up to more people last year. I had an absolute blast. But I then realized that with the next year, if we were going to have the same people show up, it could actually start to outgrow even Dave's enormous basement. And my dream of having Nerdfest be an actual convention in a hall started to kind of materialize. I started getting so excited thinking that this could actually happen and be a thing. My dream of turning this into an actual legitimate con. So I texted Dave and I was like, dude, I'm thinking about moving this into a hall this year. Are you cool with that? And he was like, sounds good. Just let me know the deets.
Yeah.
He didn't say deets. He didn't say that. And away I went. Natalie and I started looking up halls. Mr. and Mrs. Measles gave us the idea to try a VFW, as they were usually pretty inexpensive. We found one by our house that was a perfect little spot and an amount of money that, even if we didn't make it back, wouldn't completely bankrupt us. And once we had the space, everything kind of started to seem doable. I started working on the logo, contacting local vendors, reaching out to publishers, designers to see if I could legitimize this thing. Our biggest issue and worry was attendance, right? We had absolutely no clue who was going to come to this fucking thing.
No clue.
It was, we were talking a lot. We're like,
are we going to spend all this money on this hall and all this stuff?
and it's just the same people and that's it?
Yeah, like 30 people
that
show
would've
up.
been fun.
It would have been fun, but also
fine.
like,
But we also
Like,
would've
why
been
did we do
like,
this
should
then?
just
That was
name
probably
it.
a
shouldn't
waste
have done
of
this.
time and money.
Yeah, maybe that was stupid.
Yeah, and that was like the feeling for a little longer than it.
Most of the
basically
time.
until like a week before.
Even when people were signing up, I was like,
Are they even going to come?
God, 'cause
It's
people
free.
sign up
Right,
for shit
it's
all the
free. There's
time.
they're not obligated.
And there was no commitment, right? There was
Right.
no, I pay $10.
And I
may
didn't
as well
realize
go.
that until much later. Like so we made the decision to keep it free. And I'll talk about that in a second too. Let me just keep going. Actually,
Yeah.
So it made it difficult. Not knowing the attendance made it difficult to figure out what to tell vendors and publishers who were contemplating coming. So we quickly realized we needed a way to keep track of the people. Natalie found this site called Event Create and began working on getting that up and running, as it had a way to track people who
And it seems
registered.
like you can create events.
You can create events on there if you want.
What a good name.
Yeah.
Event
It's also
Create.
they also do porn.
Okay, good. Yeah. Well, you have to at
Event
this
creation
point. To
and
make money
pornography.
or, you know, you have to.
Pornography, yeah. So I went out promoting to Facebook groups, talking with local gamers of the county, making up a flyer, put the new logo on it, starting promoting the shit out of it, right? I had secured people like Matt Riddle and David McGregor, which was huge, but things didn't really hit stride for us until someone reached out named Eddie from the FLGS, the Upkeep Games.
Eddie.
Someone reached out to him, telling him about us. They saw our Nerdfest flyer and said, "Hey, I know you. Hey, Eddie, you're my friend. I know you do promotion.
You're
and stuff like
local
that."
and this.
Yeah. Eddie then reaches out to me, and everything changed. Everything started to materialize. He says they're looking for ways to grow their store, and they love working with local conventions to get their name out there. So they offer to sponsor us, help us recoup some of that now growing cost of this thing, because it started as just the hall, and then quickly you got to pay for everything.
Yeah.
Right. They'll bring a gaming library and everything, and it's great exposure for them. I, of course, gladly take the help, and now we've got something. It was like right then that I was kind of like, this is starting to be a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exact. I even thought that too. That was the moment it felt like this could be like a
This
real
could be
like
thing.
convention.
But,
Like
but still, we were like,
event.
fuck, people better show up to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because and the library was what like made me I think the most excited because usually our Nerdfest is we bring
our own
games.
Right.
Dave has his 70 games in his house
Right.
and then we end up bringing the crew ends up bringing another 100 or so,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then we pick whatever. So it's
but,
like,
but we don't
well,
want
what
to.
do we do with that?
Yeah, we're not
like,
gonna-
I then just like lay
bring
my
your own-
games out,
Right,
we
and
just have
let
this, like,
randos take
Yeah,
your
that
games.
felt kind of like weird.
But
So
him
that
doing
was,
that
like,
seemed like a
amazing.
huge step.
was
of,
really
like, all right,
cool.
this is
Yes,
cool.
huge.
Yes. So we were like, oh god, hopefully people will show up to this though, so they don't they didn't just help
Cool,
us with this.
I lugged this
Yeah,
giant
I lugged
library
this-
over.
right,
You and your friends.
You and
to
your
play.
friends to
Yeah.
play games.
Right. Well-
So we got people trickling in though on this site, like trickling in, mostly all
Yes,
people we knew,
slowly.
and they were mostly all people we knew, but a few that we didn't know.
Yeah.
Over the next several months, they continued to just trickle in. By about November of last year, we had probably like 85 or so people that were registered. We decided to put this on for free, as we hoped that would entice people to show up. We're nobodies pretending to run a convention, so how can we ask for money for something that's not anything? That was my
Right.
kind of idea. We had no idea what the hell we were doing.
Right.
I reached out to a bunch of people I thought would be good at running events, asked them to, they all agreed, and just arbitrarily picked the times for the events to be. You know what I mean? Shrugging my shoulders the whole time. But so I didn't, like I said earlier, I didn't realize at the time that, I'm not saying that was a bad idea and a bad move, but I didn't realize that could be,
Have
that
some
could
conflict?
prevent people from coming.
Oh,
It was actually Kyle, our brother-in-law, who was like, have you thought about the fact that since it's free, people might just not fucking show up? And I was like, oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
And then I started to get worried again because I'm like, we got like 90 people. And I'm like, oh, but if all these people are just like, yeah, it's easy to just click register, it's free.
Yeah.
right.
And then they just don't
to
fucking
be
show
like,
up.
I don't feel like it. Yeah.
One thing that kind of kept me from being too afraid of that were a lot of the people that signed up also signed up for some events.
Yeah.
Right, like a lot of people would sign up for that and the Tumbling Dice tournament, or some people would sign up for D&D, and it's like there were people we didn't know.
I was even nervous with the events because like it was slow moving with getting the people to register. And
Yeah,
like
are
we
they
put
gonna
some
fill
events
up?
up and I was like, oh no, is nobody gonna like fill up these events?
Right.
Is it gonna just be so lame? Same thing with like it's free because I'm like, I don't want people to show up and they're like, oh, I paid like, $25 for this and like what is this garbage? Because like again I'm like I can't even imagine in my head what this is even gonna be.
Right.
We were all just like making it up
We had
as we
no
went.
idea what
we
was
came
going
up with
on.
ideas as we went. Like I feel like the majority of even the ideas that we had and executed came about in the last like 2 months prior, but
Yep.
we started
Totally.
with this in like June. 6 or
Yep.
7 months prior. So it was all just like I don't know. It was just like
Well, you do a lot of things. Like, do we give everybody name tags? Oh, let's do badges. I remember
Oh, yeah,
even
that
our
seems
messages
cool.
of like, I was even like, hey, I'll buy lanyards. You're like, I already bought some lanyards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Well,
Well, we
do
were like,
these
who-
little
well, that's
sleeves.
the
Like, all
other
right, what do we
thing.
put in the sleeves? Do we just
Yeah.
put that?
Right, do we
that
just
name
give them the
tags on
sticker?
and I was
Stickers?
like, I don't want to like just like spend a ton of money because what
Exactly.
if nobody comes and then we,
I don't
we
need.
just spent
I
like
know everybody's
thousands
name
and
there. There's
thousands
only
of
15 people,
dollars.
and they hang out every
Right.
fucking year. I don't
Yeah, I
even know
don't know
Joe and
your
Dave's
name.
name tag. They
I
got
don't need your damn name.
So like,
Right.
yeah, and it's like, yeah, are you just throwing money at nothing?
Exactly. Well, even with the t-shirts, we were like, we want to like sell some Nerdfest t-shirts, and I looked up a bunch of places to
They
get them
were
printed,
expensive.
and they were freaking expensive.
Everything's expensive.
And
Yeah.
so I was like, I don't even know how many people are coming, so I'd have to buy
Right.
all these things and put the money up front, and then like no one shows up, and now I have all these shirts that no one bought, and I
Every day
spent
you
like
go to work Nerdfest.
$1,000
Yep.
on them, and I was like, so that's what made me want to like
Buy the cricket.
buy. Like I bought the
Do it
cricket,
yourself.
and I ended
Yeah.
up doing it myself because it was literally like a quarter of the cost.
And now you have a cricket.
And now
I
there's a
have
cricket.
I have a
Yep.
cricket.
And
I
we
know
have,
how to use
she's
it.
got
Yeah.
business ideas, stuff like that. So I started reaching out to publishers asking if they would send games for a charity auction. And to my surprise, a ton of them said yes.
Yeah, it's cool.
It was really cool. Like we just talked about, Natalie decided to invest in the cricket, make the t-shirts, save on costs there. I started to get messages from people like Double Exposure out of nowhere. I didn't reach out to a lot of these people. Double
Yeah.
Exposure reached out to me. Double Exposure, who sends out envoys people to conventions to teach them a host of board games in hopes of recruiting more envoys to keep the awesome service going. I had a D&D inspired barbecue sauce company reach out called Fat Baby Barbecue Sauce, also offering some sponsorship in return for a table to sell their sauce. All of this was coming together. And then in December, like the end of December, attendance started to kind of shoot up. Natalie'd be like, we just got 3 more people register. Every hour she would say that, like, form a people register. So if we had 90 people register from June to November, we had another 60 or 70 register from December until the convention started.
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh,
Like in the last month, really the last week is when it like shot way up. We quickly went from not thinking anyone would show
to like, oh,
to being
no,
concerned that we wouldn't.
People are
do we have to turn people away?
Right, because this
Did we get a big
hall
enough
only
space?
holds 200 people.
Yeah.
It was insane, though. All that happened so fast. We were just doing this ourselves and had absolutely no idea what to expect.
Yep.
We did as much prep as we could leading up to the day. We had shirts, badges, bags, food, drink, a banner, vendors, FLGS with a gaming library, registration table, a charity auction, professional mini painter, other events, little signs that were like, need a teacher, need a player.
Right. Even the
Lots
week
of
before,
fingers
we went to
crossed.
like Hobby Lobby just because I'm like, I'm trying to think of every possible thing I could think of to make this go as smoothly as possible because I don't want the convention to start and we'll be like, oh shit, what about this? What about this? We
Yeah.
should have done this. And so I was like racking my brain to like do everything like on the cheap, but at the same time make it like seem legit and seem like it's, you know, provide everything that
We bought
everybody needed
those
to like have a
boards.
smooth
They're like those
and
sandwich,
good time.
like you see in front of sandwich shop boards that had like the chalk on them. Where I was like, those are perfect. We can list the events of the day there. People can look
Yeah.
at that. We also had one right by the registration table that was just like, welcome to Nerdfest. You know,
Had
and I think
some
little touches like
information.
that I
Yeah.
feel
You
like
had an N
helped
and an
that
F.
we didn't.
Giant
Yeah, the
letters.
giant
Oh
N and an
my
F that I
gosh.
found. Hey, you can't take me to Hobby Lobby. I'm
Natalie,
going to have to buy random stuff. The days and weeks beforehand, though, something a bit magical started to happen. I think at least 10 different people reached out and offered to help out of the blue. Like, hey man, what can I help with? How can I help? Do you need help? Let me know if you need anything. I'd love to help. My good buddy Brian Beach was so adamant about helping. He was basically like, listen, let me in the door. I'm going to help you. Like like it wasn't just like, hey, what can I do? He was like, I'm here.
I'm already
knock, knock, knock.
Yeah.
Let me in. I'm helping. Yeah. And that's just the kind of guy he is. He's awesome. And it was great. So we couldn't get the hall until Thursday evening to set up. We hadn't even been back to see it since we booked it in June.
Right. So we were kind of going from memory and pictures
Yeah,
that I
like
took.
hopefully
like,
this is
Yeah.
we'll remember this correctly.
Right.
You know, so all the stuff we've been preparing for was still all up in the air. How are we going to pull this off? We had shit all over the fucking house everywhere. We were in dire need of a teacher friend to come organize us. Jeff was like,
Hey.
"Here I go, bitches." He came over and it was a hurricane of organization. Got us all ready to go. We loaded up the cars, carted stuff all over to the hall. He labeled boxes. It was like we were moving. It was a
that was
master class
funny.
and very helpful because we were like chickens with our head cut off until that. We were kind of
my
like,
God.
I don't know what to, like you were like, I'm going to come over and help. And we were like, I don't even know what to have him do. Like, I don't know, what are we going to do?
I know. I was like, what are we gonna have him do? And then we had
he
like
came
a
over and he was
million
like, I'm going to do this
things.
and this and this.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, it turns out we needed that to kind of like, all right, I'm going to do this. And it helped. So there was so much stuff that I was like, where's this? And Jeff's like, it's in the box I labeled this.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, where's that? It's in the other box I labeled that. I'm like, oh, perfect. Okay, cool. And that helped the whole weekend, right? At night, Brian, we talked about a minute ago, comes with us to help set up the hall on Thursday night. We get all the tables arranged how we think we want them because we don't fucking know. We're like, I don't know, let's put the events here. Let's put this stuff
Right.
here.
We
We'll have the
hang the
library right
banner.
there. Fat Baby will be here. Double exposure. I don't know. We put the food in away, the drinks in the fridge, the banner we hung up, tables, all that stuff, registration, door signs hung. We were like, damn, this is happening. Like this is whether we want it to or not
Yeah.
now.
I was very anxious
Here we go.
because now it's like, okay, this is happening. Hopefully, like I don't even know what to expect the next
What
day.
I was mostly worried about, I think, was people constantly coming to me with problems. I don't know why I thought that was going to happen, but I assumed like everyone was going to be like, the bathroom doesn't work, you know, or like this guy just came over to me and called me a douchebag.
Sure.
What are you going to do
My
about
game
it?
got stolen.
Yeah, right. My game got stolen. Exactly. I had $20 in my wallet. What happened to it? Where'd it go?
Yeah.
You know, that's why I in my brain it had built up like I'm just going to be putting out fires, and it's going to like, oh my god, am I going to be able to deal with this? Because we didn't have like a host of volunteers or people we were paying because we're not paying anybody. We're not paying. You know, it's all we're just putting this on ourselves. So I was kind of like that was what I was mostly concerned about for some reason in my head happening. Like it's just going to be a crazy like problem fest, right? But so cut to Friday morning. Okay, the start of the fest. Natalie and I trembling with anticipation as we get there, not knowing what to expect. The Measles and Jeff are the first ones to arrive. The Measles were there to help, and they did. They worked registration for us when we needed to be elsewhere. They worked behind the counter when we needed to be elsewhere. They brought in a coffee maker when people were bitching that they wanted coffee.
Yeah.
They really just kind of did whatever needed to be done at any given moment throughout the entire weekend without us even asking, and it was incredible.
awesome.
Yeah. Mr. and Mrs. Measles, I mean...
Yeah, they gave us ideas.
What do you say about those people?
They're amazing.
They're just fucking incredible people.
Yes, very good friends.
The Gamecasters community peeps were like really the first attendees to arrive, right? Shelly, Lance, Sean, Ta, Chris, Plurpy, Peter, Jason, Janelle, Brahman, Amanda, Wally, Claire, all of them, they all got there right pretty much pretty quickly, right? They all sit down and start playing. And that was cool. At first, it was really only people we knew that showed up.
Yeah.
Right.
Because then there was like the what used to be our game, our my group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bill showed
Ben,
up, Eric.
Bill,
Ben.
Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Crew.
That crew was there. Yeah, it was like the game group crew and the Discord crew were like the first people to be there. And it wasn't really a full house yet, right? Maybe not even a half full house for the first little bit, but it was enough activity and gaming going on that I didn't feel like it was a flat out. I was like, okay, if it's just this,
We didn't fail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty cool. It's happening. This is kind of cool. I remember noting, well, this is awesome. It's like 90% people we know, which is about what I expected. Those expectations, right after I thought that, were obliterated almost immediately after that thought. Throughout the rest of the day Friday, people kept coming in who we didn't know. Almost all of them, in fact, we didn't know. The place got pretty damn busy. We were very busy at registration and behind the counter, and it was awesome. I loved that part of it. I loved working it. I loved being the first person these people see when they come in when I was at registration. I loved being like, I'm the face and the energy to get them, like you go into a place like at FLGS or even a convention, and if you just get greeted with like, hi, what's your name? Where's your badge?
Right.
Right.
I don't like, I was like full of like, hey, how's it going? Thanks so much
Right.
for
You
coming.
wanna set the
Here's what we
tone.
got. Yeah. Set the tone for like, and a lot of people I think were like, oh, okay, cool. This is, all right, I'm going to have fun. Thanks.
Because they're also walking into a place like, what is this?
I've
what
never
is this
been here
thing that we're
before.
going into? I don't know what
Yeah.
it is because
Yeah.
we didn't know what it was
Right.
either.
Walk in, give me a little smooch, a little grab on the butt and say,
Yeah.
thanks
Yeah.
for coming.
Well, the cool
Thanks.
thing, I also liked working at the registration desk, and one of my favorite parts was I got an email every single time someone registered or signed up for an
True.
event.
Right.
And so I'm seeing all these people's names, and then I make all their badges, and then I'm like sending emails for all
and
the
their
event
events that they
confirmations.
sign,
So I'm
yeah.
seeing these
Right.
names over and over and over again. So I feel like I basically recognize every single person's name that registered.
Yeah.
And now they're walking in and they tell me their name, and I'm like, I know that name. And so now I'm
Right.
putting like a face to the name, and it just made it was like so, because of that, it was like so easy for me to like remember everybody and who they were. And so I'd look around and I'm like, that's Mark, that's this person, that's this
Right.
person. And I felt like so good about that because I was like, I feel like I know them even though I don't really know them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
You're
even
like
when I
creepy
went to,
stalker.
I needed to like talk to them or something, or like somebody was like brought something up or an event, was happening. And I'm like, oh, this person signed up for an event. I know exactly who that is.
Yep.
There they are, know?
Right.
And I was like, that's so cool.
That is really cool. That's a good point. You were definitely way better about that than me. So the events were going off perfectly. McDave Mick's giant D&D campaign taking center stage while he's standing over it all, directing players through, was really cool to watch. Matt Cousineau doing having
event
his
Friday, I
Soul
think.
Forge event
Yep.
was really, it was full. Jamie Dagger's mini painting class was very cool. Joe Jitsu printed up these beautiful like mimic sculpts. He's got that like resin
Yeah, it's
3D
beautiful.
printer.
It's awesome.
Oh my God, they're so great. And people just seem to be really having fun. It was crazy. It was bustling. I heard so much chatter and laughter, and people were sampling the insane heat levels of the mild fat baby barbecue sauce, checking out games from the library, demoing games from Double Exposure, buying t-shirts and food and drink. And we even had hot dogs and chips for sale that people were taking part in. Every single thing we set up was being used.
Yes.
I saw people using the teacher and player signs.
Yep.
It was just like,
Yeah.
damn. Friday came and went. The day was extremely long for us. We're there at 8 a.m., closing it down around 1 a.m. Home to sleep for about 5 hours, get up and do it all over again. But Friday was extremely successful
Yeah.
for us.
It was like, so it kept me energized. I didn't even care that I was not going to get that much sleep that night because I was like, I can't believe how this went. Like
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
was like
Friday
a
was-
success.
Yeah,
work.
it's successful. You got to think in your head like, this is one weekend. I'm gonna be tired. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
we're all adults. We're always
Yeah.
fucking tired.
Right.
So
It was almost like I had
but
just,
you're
like,
good
this
tired. You're
adrenaline
tired
from
because
it.
it's fun. You're tired because you enjoyed yourself. You're
Right.
not tired because your
Yeah,
kids
I
were
have
up
to
all
go to
night
work
bugging
Right,
you, or
exactly.
working.
Yeah.
It's more
Up all
like
night,
someone
you were-
puked
The
down my
first
face.
day went by and I was like, this was fucking awesome.
It was
like, this was
great.
like, I'm just like, wow, this is not what I expected. And it's like, incredible.
That was from like a back of the house experience. Jeff, you were more in it. You were in the mix, playing with people, talking to people, and doing that. What was your experience like Friday?
So I showed up just after the measles, made him a trophy, and
right. First to arrive at Nerdfest.
They were the first nerds, and that was something that I wanted to do a lot more of, and it was really difficult because it was so busy. To give out all these trophies. I gave them to some of the people that I know. So if you showed up and didn't get a trophy,
fuck you. Fuck you.
And like, so I get there and I see all the work that the two of you put in, and then I instantly go, well, I did like nothing, and I like have like instant regret. And I'm like,
dude,
I'm like, they did so much stuff, and I'm like, I got pins.
That was sweet.
But it was like nothing, and I like wrote on boxes. Cool, good for me.
That helped as well.
It was helpful.
I look at everything you did, and I was like, disappointed in myself.
Well, dude, also
and
part of it, we just were like, this is my dream. I want to do this. We're going to do this. We didn't really ask you if you want to do this with us. We were just like, we're doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
You were kind of like, I want you to go play games. And what was cool is throughout the entire weekend, I got to play with, I don't want to say everybody, but I got to play with a lot of people that I wanted to play games with, who I talk to all the time.
That's awesome.
So the old game group I got to play games with, the Discord people I got to play games with, random Devon's students' parents I got to play with. Like, I was able to kind of do that, which was cool. So I enjoyed that. So right away at 9, when I got there, talked to the measles. One of our friends, Eric, who we haven't seen in years. And he was kind of like in our original sort of game group. Ryan had met him, or had met his wife and brought him in. So it was like, our 4 was me, Ryan, Bill, and Eric. That was like our 4 that kind of got
for a while,
for a long time. And to see him was so cool. I saw him in like I went out to like take a picture of like the welcome sign, and he was out there.
Yeah.
So I was like, we have to do something right away. So it was like me, Ben, who was also one of like the original like gaming group, Eric, Bill, and Joe played Homesteaders, and I was like, this is so cool because Homesteaders is like one of my all-time favorite games.
And it's the whole standby. Eric loves that game
and
too.
Eric loves, and it was kind of like this is a cool feeling to start, right? And I wanted to sit down and play because I wanted, when people showed up, that people were also playing, right?
Yes.
So when they walk in, they see a couple tables of people playing games, and not just like standing around talking and burning the first 3 hours of Nerdfest just chit-chatting. And Homesteaders is so fucking awesome. It like... Bill always jokes like, you just need to play it more often because it would be back in your top 10. I'm like, it always moves up.
You said that after you played. You were like, this was one of the best plays ever. Huh?
And it's a game that I get. It's one of those ones where I like get.
You're smarter than
the cadence of it, and and then as I kind of picked my head up from Homesteaders, I look around and now I'm like, there's people here.
Yeah,
I'm like there, and like you said, most of the people I knew. I'm like, there's Janelle, and she shows up with this like. These like
oh my god let's talk about that.
She shows up with these like is it crocheted? I don't know.
It's like
cross stitch or
I don't know. These
needle point
like things, right? And one is like the Mad Board Gamer, one's Gamecasters, one's a Dickfish.
Oh my gosh,
and it just is so awesome. Amazing and so Janelle of Janelle.
I know.
And she gave my son a game, and it was just
she?
Yeah, just incredible.
She's very sweet.
She's so great.
It was just like amazing to see her right away. And then it's like I'm looking around, I'm like, who's that person?
Yeah,
who's that person?
I don't know them.
And you were like, oh, that's Matt Cousineau. I'm like, oh, I only see Matt Cousineau's tiny face on Discord. Like, I only know him as this big. I'm like, oh, and I'm like, there's the Matt. Go to the Matt Cousineau box. Your game's there. And the fact that he opened up a box and was like, this is the first time he saw his own game in person published at Nerdfest. Like he sent it to you.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is the first time I've held
my game.
I'm like, that's really cool.
I got 3 copies
that moment
of my own
was
game.
Sweet. And then we got I sat down and we played Welcome to. And that was a quick, easy game to play. And Amanda and Wally played, and they were there. So it was like, okay, now my little game group got like Amanda and Wally in because we've hung out with them a few times. And
for sure.
We then jumped into like Guild of Merchant Explorer, and I played with this David guy who I'd never met before.
Okay.
Who is apparently at every convention in Michigan all the time.
Oh, right. And I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, because Bill had said like, oh, that guy goes everywhere. And he plays a bunch of games, and he's nice. And so I'm like, all right, now I'm playing games with someone who is this person?
Right.
And how the hell did he find us?
Yeah, agreed.
Right. That's how I feel.
Really
like,
cool.
how did you, every time that people walk in, I think both of us would be like, how did you hear about us?
How did you know?
I was so honestly curious.
Sometimes they would say stuff like, oh, there was this website called MichiganGamer.org. And you're on there, and I'm like, what?
Like, whatever heard
I didn't
of
put
that.
us on there. How the hell did we get on that?
Or just local Facebook groups.
Yeah, I
or
googled
whatever.
local conventions and you came up. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
Or my
how?
friend told-
How did
I put us on
a lot of
some
it too
Facebook
is like
or-
my friends here, and they called me and said you should come up here right now, and
Right.
they just like come
like,
up
that's
there.
cool.
That's
yeah.
so cool.
So then I got ready because I wanted to do one event. I was like, let me do one event, and the event I ran was Ready Set Bet.
Ready,
Yeah.
set, bet.
So I was the house, the roller and the horse mover. So I also spent Friday morning asking Natalie, I'm like, who signed up for this event? I think I know everybody, but she gave me a list, and I was like, all right, I'm going to name the horses. I'm going to name the 10 horses or 9, whatever there are in there. And then Natalie comes up and she's like, the Howlands aren't here. So I'm like, I got to try to find
Right,
a backup.
gotta
Let me find a
change the
backup.
names a little bit, yeah.
And then the Howlands showed up like right as
Oh, did they?
they
Oh, so
showed
they
up
did get
right
in.
there at the so right at the beginning of the game, and I had all the horses named all these like different things like inside jokes with a lot of people because some of them were the Discord people, and like I had Joe didn't half-ass anything as a name. We had Clara's little helper,
Yeah,
who
that's
was
great.
Amanda's like baby, who was just
3
incredible
months
and
old.
got. And what was awesome is Amanda didn't even have to hold Clara the whole time because
Even if she
people
wanted to.
like Jen and Natalie that were around to just hold this baby
give me that baby.
constantly. I had CP Wilson's beard, Nerd Festivals, Natalie's Nook, Poop Knife, the Bobo 1 and Bobo 2. Like, and that at that moment, it was just like fun. I was like, all right, how do I make this like a fun event for just a whole bunch of people who kind of know like our voice, kind
Yeah.
of know us, but
Yeah,
don't
they're
necessarily
all
know each
listeners,
other.
I think,
Yep.
that played
And
that.
I think that I had a blast. I'm hoping other people had a blast.
Oh, I'm sure
But
they did.
I had
I'm sure
I
they
had
did.
like a ton of fun. I loved in Ready Set Bet. I also loved the there's those cards that you get.
Yep.
At the end of every round that
Sure.
like are like almost like prop bets, or when something cool happens, you get a bonus.
Yeah, little powers.
We
almost,
didn't play
kinda.
with that in the game that I played at Gen Con.
Sure.
And like that was just like I was like,
Oh, that was great.
that makes the game
It
Yeah,
does. We
that's
played with
cool.
it
entirely,
Yeah,
and you
that
get to
was
pick kind of cool
fantastic.
things. And at that point, it was just like what's like this is happening.
Yeah.
I look over, there's like painting, Jamie stepping up and showing up, and she was just incredible.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know.
And
So
then I look
great.
at like all these people who maybe have never painted are now painting, and I'm like Natalie and Ryan did an event where people are painting minis.
Yeah.
And there was a class where Jamie was
Yeah.
teaching
Yeah.
how to.
Yeah.
Jamie
how to-
was so
It wasn't just basement
great.
sitting. Jamie was incredible.
She was so nice.
Well, and
And-
another thing, Jamie said, which like her feedback was so great. She said that she was like, this was the best because I loved that it was like an intimate setting where I got to like teach people to paint. She's like, I'm used to either doing it like online or something, not in person.
Yeah, she does a lot of
she streams
streams,
Jamie
yeah.
Daggers, and then she's like, or I'm at like a bigger like convention where there's like this big room and like you can't really like see or interact with every single person. Where she's like, I'm sitting at this little table with all these people, and it's just like she's like, I loved the class like this. She's like, it was so great for me. She's like, I want to come back.
She's
here.
like, I'm bringing everybody I know.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what
So
she
the
said.
fact that like she says that, you
How
know,
cool is that?
it's like,
Yeah.
like we said, we don't know what the fuck we're doing.
Yeah.
And so when
I
somebody
was like, I
gives us
wanna
this
have this.
feedback like
How
that,
do I get this done?
right?
We had one, and then she bailed.
That's right.
Nothing, not like nothing against the person
Right.
that we had first. She just,
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said bailed. She couldn't
do it.
She
Yeah.
couldn't do
Make
it.
it,
Something
yeah.
came up.
But it was kind of like a bummer because now I'm like, crap. I want this event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Jeff's like, actually, Joe is on stream with this woman
Yeah,
who
he watches-
paints.
Yeah.
And she's
Jamie
local,
paint all the time.
and she's local, so maybe she could come. And I was like, oh my god! I reached out to her. Jeff, I think it was within the hour that you told me about her.
It all like just.
I
worked.
reached
She's like,
out
"Yep."
to her, and she was like, yes,
yeah.
So cool.
yes, I can.
Yeah.
It'll be right after. She was at PAX Unplugged. Also
Okay.
teaching. That was her first, I think one of her first classes she taught at
Okay,
the convention.
cool.
Maybe I'm wrong about that. But I know she went to PAX
Yeah, I know
Unplugged
she-
and
yeah.
taught one. And she's like, it'll be a perfect primer for me
Yeah.
to, get,
Yeah.
figure out how it'll go to then come to Nerdfest.
Right.
And she was the greatest to work with
Oh my
the whole
gosh.
time.
It was cool to
Awesome.
see. It was
Amazing.
it was becoming like a thing on Friday.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
see that, and you could see that everyone was like laughing, having fun. There wasn't a lot of like people looking around. Like people were like doing something.
That was surprising as well. I was thinking a lot of people would come and be like, I don't know anybody, so I'll just kind of
Right.
wander.
Because I think that too. Like, I mean, I'm a pretty,
You are pretty.
so pretty.
Pretty
I don't know how to say this. I do not like going
People.
places where I don't know anybody.
It's a
and I
hard
don't know what
situation to be in.
expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like there were so many people who like came alone or came with just one person into this place with a bunch of people. And in my head, I was like, I would never do this.
Yeah.
You
But they
know,
found
I would
their
feel
place.
so uncomfortable.
Right.
But they did it. And like, I felt like every single person, like just kind of just like they walk in and they register and we kind of explain, you know, like,
and they
oh,
just
there's
take it
this,
from
this,
there.
and this. And then they walk away. And in my head, I'm like, they're about to walk away. And if it was me, I'd just walk around awkwardly and be like, what do I do? But I feel like all of them just immediately were just like in it. Like participating
Yeah.
in part of it.
Yeah.
And there was no like, oh, I feel bad. This person, I feel like
Right, they didn't
they're
have
like,
it
don't
once.
know. Right. And it just tells you like what kind of vibe this ended up having. It was like absolutely perfect and what we always kind of hoped it would be. It was like this welcoming, chill, like friendly vibe. And I think that every single person felt that. And so everyone felt like right at home immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do want to mention, on Friday, I played Heaven and Ale.
Okay.
Oh,
With
yeah.
Bill and Ben and M.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was the first game I got to play with Ben and M that day. Well, okay. It was actually the third game because we played a couple games of Splitter because
Oh.
Emily had ordered both the
right.
boy and girl pizza to the hotel room instead
Yep,
of the
instead of the convention center.
So Ben left and we played Splitter a couple times. And
You
that
had
was
to go
maybe
get it?
Ryan's first game of the day, but you were
Yeah. No, I
I
played
didn't
one other
know
game that I'll
that.
talk
Okay.
about in a minute. But
and
yeah, that was my
so we
second
played
game of the day.
Splitter a couple times, and then we sat down and played Heaven and Ale, and I won. I won
For the first time.
I
you
won
the
Heaven
money.
and Ale. Wow. And it was without the expansion, and I won, and I was shocked at myself.
Didn't you win the last
And-
time you played too?
But that was with the expansion, and it was kind of like I just played the
Yeah, but
expansion
you're on a
game,
you're on
but
a
I
high
don't
now.
know.
You got it
Yeah.
figured out.
Yeah.
I went from like 1 point to 12 points
Yeah.
to winning now 2 in a row.
55 points. Did you like it better?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. I would love to have like I want to like go back in time and see what I did on my first two to see like why I was so bad.
Sure.
What I've done
Why did
differently
I
in
suck
this
so
one.
bad?
Yeah. What the
Because I still don't understand the difference between getting 14 points and getting
40?
60.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you know Ben had played the game. He played the game 10, 12 times and
Sure.
he got like 7.
Right.
You know,
He's like, I did
Yeah.
horrible.
he did
Yeah, he didn't
horrible.
do
and
very
M
good.
didn't do great. But the game was so fun because we're playing Heaven and Ale. That game is boring, right? There's nothing exciting that happens. It's not like Ready Set Bet. You're moving
Yeah.
around this like rondelle thing and picking up tiles and putting them
Right.
on your board. But every time we would move around this thing, the four of us would be like, whoa, oh, like we're moving to a space. And it just, everybody's like, for some reason looking at us, and we're these like idiots playing Heaven and Ale.
Yeah.
But it was just, again, it
"Oh, you
created that
did it!
cool thing. People are like, what are you
Yeah.
playing? We're like, Heaven and Ale. They're like, oh,
What the hell?
what are you doing?
Why are you having
That was just really fun. Something I'll kind of remember as we played that
Yeah.
game. And then I played La Cremosa at the end of the night. It was like 10 o'clock, and I was like, yeah, I'll play La Cremosa. and that was the first game I got to play with Shelly.
Oh,
Oh,
great.
cool.
And Chris Wilson sat down because he really wanted to play it. I still really liked it. I'm not sure how much I'm like, I feel like I like it more than other people as I play
Really?
it. But Shelly was kind of like, I don't really know what's going on. And then she won.
You know, she
I
like
think
won
that- She
everything.
seems like
Chris
she's another
liked it.
one who doesn't lose.
Yeah, she just kind of wins.
I
just
heard a
wins.
lot about her winning.
Yeah, she wins.
Yep.
And so that was like a cool way to end the night. So then I kind of packed up. It was like 12, probably 12-ish.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's probably a good time. I'll go home,
Yeah.
get some sleep.
Heck yeah.
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 Do you want to talk about some games that we played?
Yes, absolutely. On Friday, Natalie and I played a game with the Bobo family and Brian Beach called Psychic Pizza Deliverers Go to the Ghost Town.
Nope, that's not what it's called.
Yeah.
It is.
I couldn't
No, it's not.
remember for
It
the life
is.
of me. Everyone's like, what
Yeah.
did you play? And I'm like, pizza. Psychic.
Or
Girl pizza, boy pizza, psychic pizza.
or
Ghost.
PPDGTTGT.
Not gonna remember that either.
Yeah.
So what do you call it if you're just in conversation? Psychic
Probably
pizza?
Psychic Pizza, I would guess, or Pizza Deliverers.
Can you
or
say it
something
again?
like that.
Psychic pizza
Psychic
goes to the
Pizza
mall.
Deliverers Go to the Ghost Town. This is a Japanese, I believe, Japanese published game. I can always count on Janelle to bring a charming
An
little game that I never
obscure
heard
game.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah, some random obscure game. This year it is Psychic Pizza Deliverers Go to the Ghost Town. The game is all about delivering pizza to houses, and there's ghosts. And the
I
pizza
got that from the
deliverers
title.
have psychic powers somehow. So the game is divided into there's the players, and then there's like a GM. All right, the GM sets up the game, has the map of the town in front of them and behind like a shield, where all the players start, and wins the game if nobody can successfully deliver a pizza to its matching house in a certain amount of time. Okay, the player characters all have a little meeple, and they start on a player sheet They each have their own player sheet. That's literally just a blank grid. Okay, that's all. So we all have a blank grid and a little meeple in the center. Every player is playing on their own player board, but in reality, they're all in the same town. So Janelle, who is the GM, has a board of this town, and we're all on that board somewhere. We don't know where we are on that town. So we just have a clear board, and we're in the middle of this grid. Okay?
Okay.
So only the GM knows all that. So on your turn, you simply tell the GM which way you want to try and either move, which way you want to try and attack, or you can use a previously attained psychic power card. When you try and move, the GM tells you what you encounter and what you can sense adjacent to you. For instance, you might say, okay, Janelle, I want to move to the west, right? Because there's like the cardinal directions. And then she'll say, okay. She looks at her board in front of you. She sees where you are. She sees you want to try to move west. And she says, okay, you move west. And there's 2 houses, a fence, and a ghost nearby. You write that down on your player sheet. So you move your meeple, one to the left, right, to the west. And then you write down, okay, 2 houses, a fence, and a ghost. What that means is there are, in the spaces adjacent to you, there's houses, a ghost, and a fence. You don't know where, but you just know that that's what's around you. Does that make sense? It's kind of like Minesweeper.
Sure.
You know the game
Yes,
Minesweeper?
right.
When you click a button and then there's like numbers appear around you, and it's
But you
like,
don't know exactly where.
you don't know exactly
One of
where
those
you can. I mean,
spots.
you will narrow it down.
right.
In Minesweeper.
So you keep moving around and figuring it out.
So yeah, you know they're around you. You don't know exactly what's where. Okay, so then so let's say in your next turn you want to move west again, and so you say to the GM, okay, I'm going to move west. The GM then says, ooh, it's too spooky to go that way, which is what tells you there's a ghost there.
Okay.
So now you know, okay, I can't move, and there's a ghost right to my left. So on your next turn, you might take the action to attack. So you're going to say, okay, I'm going to attack to the west. Now the GM will say, you punched a ghost. And when you punch a ghost, you get a psychic power card that usually lets you move in a much more interesting way than just one space.
So you're not delivering the pizza to the ghosts.
No.
To a
You're trying to
house.
deliver them to a house. The ghosts are getting in
the
your way.
ghosts are haunting
The ghosts are haunting
Yeah.
the town. Right.
Got it.
So players continue on figuring out where they are until they discover a pizza. Once a pizza is discovered, the matching houses to deliver that pizza kind of appear on the map.
So, like, if you found a cheese pizza, you have to deliver it to a cheese
Go
A
to
house.
house that wants
orange
cheese
houses.
pizza.
Yeah,
Yes,
you can't deliver a
exactly.
cheese pizza to a small house that wants sausage.
Right.
Can they just get it for free?
Exactly. So that player must then deliver that pizza to that house.
But you have no idea where any houses or
So
anything
one
are.
pizza delivery, you win.
Yep. You just deliver a pizza.
The first person to
a
deliver a
matching
pizza
house,
to a house wins.
Okay.
That's it.
But I think you really only have so many turns. I think there's really only supposed to be like 20 turns total.
Oh, really?
And if after 20 turns a pizza has not been delivered, the GM player is
gotcha.
considered to win. I don't know that we played that way, but that's what I
Sure.
while
remember.
researching the rules. All right, so things I liked. The game was certainly unlike anything I've ever played. I mean, it has the Minesweeper vibe, but playing a board game version of that was unlike anything I've ever experienced in a good way. It was really cool to try and deduce from what the GM was telling you where you were in relation to everyone else in the town and try to figure out how far away you were from things. The components were really cute. Janelle played the GM for us and showed us what the game looked like from her perspective. Seeing everything was really cool. Because she has all the
I kind of
components
looked up
on
the
map.
picture. It seems like she's playing in the box.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she leaves
Right.
the board
Yep,
in the
she's
box.
playing in the
Yeah, that's
box,
cool.
and there's like I think there's a little screen.
It
she
seemed
puts
like
up.
it was the top of the box.
Maybe,
Yeah.
okay,
And
the
then it
screen
had
was
the
probably the
things in
top. Okay,
there,
that
but
makes
that's
sense.
cool.
The screen's probably the top of the box. For us, it was just player sheets and a meeple. So the components for the player characters aren't as cool because you don't really get to see all the cool
don't get to
components
see the ghosts
unless you're the
and the
GM,
house, yeah.
right? Turns, though, were lightning quick, as all you do is either move, fight, or use a card.
Sure.
And you have every other player's turn to figure out what you're going to do. And what you're going to do is not that difficult.
Right.
I move to the left. Okay. Now it's Natalie's turn. And while Natalie's turn's going, I'm like, okay, I'm going to move to the west again. You know? And so while my turn, I'm just like, I move to the west. And then it's very, very quick, right? So things I didn't like. The game felt impossible and random at times. Like, I can't tell you how many times I just ran into a fence. I try to move. No, there's a fence. You can't move. I go into another place. I'm going to move this way. No, there's a fence. Okay. Oh my God. There's so many fucking fences. It was funny at first, and then a touch frustrating later on. You'd be playing for a while, kind of getting your bearings, and then suddenly you step on a portal, and now you're transported to a completely different area of the map, and you have to essentially start all over.
Yeah, that sucks.
Right? And it's like, it seemed arbitrary, and, some moments, like what you found, seemed arbitrary, and never really felt to me like I was really in control of the game. That said, I had a really good time with it. I always love playing something new and silly that I've never heard of And so if you like quirky games like this or anything about that appeals to you, check out Psychic Pizza Deliverers Go to the Ghost Town. Natalie, what did you think of this game?
I actually really enjoyed this game. It had that fun, like, deduction-y
Well, you won.
feel.
You should feel.
I know. It had that fun, like, deduction feel where you're, like, just trying to figure out things and, like, I don't know, maybe part of it was, like, I mean, it was my only play, but part of it was that I won, but things kind of just, like, went well for me. Like, I stepped on a portal, and when I moved in that portal, I landed with, all of a sudden, I have a pizza now. Now I just got to find the house. And then...
Were you able to deduce, or do you think you just... things happen to you better than everybody else? But like,
I feel like
were you able
it just
to
was
use that
random
skill that
at
you
the
have
first, but then after I got the pizza and moved to a different area, I felt like I was able to deduce because then
Okay.
suddenly I
That's a
kind
better
of figured
feeling, just
out
like, well, I
For
guess-
sure.
yeah, like I figured out that I was like on the edge of the board, and so then I like, and then based on like what I knew about other things, I'm like the house has to be like here or here, and then I like went for it.
She's her Natalie Powers.
And
Yeah,
kind of
Natalie
thing,
Powers.
and so like that to me was like really fun. So actually, I thought this game was, I liked it a lot.
I liked it too.
Yeah.
I think it's difficult to buy. I think it's a Japanese game. You might have to go through. Like I've never seen or heard of this game in the States. I could be wrong about that. I haven't tried to seek it out, but I would gladly play
Yeah, I
this
play
again
it again for sure.
if given the chance.
So I don't know if when this could happen or if it's like more recent, but it does say, so the publishers are One Draw, which is, my thought would be that's the Japanese company. But the other publisher says BoardGameTables.com.
Oh.
So maybe
okay.
maybe that's a
they're
newer
also-
thing. Getting
Maybe
I don't know
BoardGameTables
anything about it,
producing
but
it,
maybe that could be could be
It
more.
was very interesting. It's one of those games you might not love it, but I feel like it's one of those games like you should probably play it if you get the chance. If you get the chance, it'd be real.
Yeah.
I would be
think-
interested
It
to
was
see what you
different.
think.
Do you think your kids would like it or get frustrated?
I think
I
they
don't
would get
Or both?
extremely frustrated.
I don't think they'd get it.
All right.
I think
they would just be randomly doing
Yeah.
things until something
Yeah, I think
happens.
they'd get the
I don't think
mechanics.
they'd get the like
okay, I must be at the edge.
deduction
Yeah,
part.
because like running into a bunch of fences can tell you because
It's the board.
edge of the board is
I'm going
also
north.
fences.
I'm just hitting.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just hitting the wall.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm probably here. And it was for me. It was like okay, I think I'm here, and then I step on a portal, and now I'm somewhere else, and it's like okay, got to start all over basically with where I
Yeah.
think I am. Luckily for Natalie, she landed on a pizza. I didn't get that lucky,
Pizza.
right?
Yeah.
a pizza. Sorry,
right.
Was it a boy pizza or a girl pizza?
It was a
Girl
cheese pizza.
girl pizza.
that was a girl pizza.
Yeah.
That's a girl
Well, like
pizza.
for me too,
It was
I had like a
cheese.
card that was like, it was like I said, I think I just got kind of lucky. I had a card like the psychic power cards or something.
Yep.
Where it was like I could ask her what direction of where I am currently is a cheese pizza house, and she said like this certain direction, and I knew above me was all wall, and I knew so I kind of was
Yeah.
like okay, well I'll go over there. I can't go up, so I have to go. What I mean, it was
Yep.
like
Cool.
really
Yeah,
easy
you were able
to
to
like
deduce
figure it out.
I think you would like it.
Yeah.
I do.
Anyways,
it was
yeah.
interesting enough, and I know you like interesting, quirky.
Yeah, it
games
was
like that,
interesting,
so I think
for
you'd like it.
sure.
Did you play anything interesting to talk about on Friday, Jeff?
On Friday, I kind of mentioned
Mostly
a lot
just
of the everything I played on Friday. I had already played, so I played
Okay.
nothing other than like Ready Set Bet with being on the like house side.
Yeah.
I played Guild Emerging Explorers with. I said I played with that David random person
Yeah.
who was super
Rando
nice.
David.
I played with Matt Cousineau, so that was cool.
Oh, you did?
So that was one where I'm like, I almost in my head wanted to like check off names
Yeah.
of like playing with
Yeah.
people.
Right.
Jack off. Sorry.
Yeah.
I wanted to jack off on people.
Oh my god!
Yes. Hit everybody you can.
Yeah,
No wonder everyone had a good
Sling it
time.
around. See what you
No
can
wonder
do,
they
right?
had a good time just jacking off on everybody.
And then on Saturday, I was able to play Guild Emerging Explorers with like Mel Kalinsky and Jen, and I got to teach that to Devin,
Oh,
who had
yeah.
never played it.
That's
She
cool.
really
Crazy.
liked it, so
She
I was
did?
really happy about that. And I was like, would you just, if I just had this playing, could we just play it on random nights? She's like, yeah, I would play it anytime.
Oh,
So
cool.
that was
She
cool.
liked it.
Good.
She really liked it.
Yes. Well, then let's talk about Saturday.
Well,
You want to go into Saturday?
Okay, sure.
Oh, you have another game?
Well,
you wanna
I have
talk
one more
about?
game.
Yeah, sure.
Friday, I played Viticulture for the first time.
Right.
Finally.
With Ben and M.
Finally.
With Ben and M. Yeah, Ben taught it to me. I asked him what, like, because I know there's a lot of, like, different, like, expansions and, like, added stuff to it. I was like, what are we playing here? And he was like, they play it all the time.
Right.
And so he was, like, basically, like, he's like, we pick and choose
Modules
our
or
favorite things and play with, like, all of those.
Okay.
You know, like we like this, we don't like this, whatever.
So you don't
I don't know
know
exactly
what the
what
hell
I
you played
played.
with.
I do know that.
We played his hodgepodge of whatever.
Yeah,
they
you
like.
played with the Tuscany expansion, but not with the structures. Is what you?
I think they played with the Tuscany board.
The Tuscany board, for sure. So the Tuscany expansion, just you didn't play with the structures. Because you play with the mamas and the papas. You play with the board, which has the stars in the corner where you're kind of majoritying. But you didn't play with the orange cards, which are the structures.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And we did not play the cooperative version.
Right, okay. You played it. What'd you think?
I liked it. I felt like it was a learning game for sure. You know, it was kind of, there was a lot of steps to get to like the wine making stuff.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
You gotta go the grapes, you gotta pick the grapes.
What I remember about it was very like tight.
Grape lady, you never know.
It was very tight. And I don't know. I feel like, you know, there wasn't a lot of time to get done what you needed to get done. This could also, you know, you could also be affected by the randomness of the cards you pick to fulfill, you know, like I got a bunch of this stuff. Now the cards I'm picking isn't that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I can see that like going against you and stuff, and that can be kind of annoying. But overall, I thought it was really fun. And
are you interested to try that?
I'm really interested in trying the cooperative version. Ben said that in the cooperative version, you only have like a certain amount of turns.
That's fucking tight.
He's like think about this game. You only have this many turns.
You have like
do all this.
You have like 6, 7, or 8 turns or something.
To
get to the 25.
And he's like, it's really hard.
Viticulture is also a race, which makes it feel really tight, right?
Yeah.
Because you can see someone kind of pulling away, and you're like, I got to get some orders done. I got to make some wine. Because when you get to 25 or whatever, you win. Like that triggers the end of the game, and you probably won. But you got to do all that shit.
But I thought the cooperative. I was like, well, to me, the cooperative version kind of just seems like a good challenge, kind of like Orlean cooperative, you know, or like you're not going to just like win. You got to be like as efficient as you possibly can be to like beat this thing.
Well, thanks to Jim Gamer, you got the
now we can do it.
Yes,
and we got the metal tokens, and thanks to you, we got the base game.
Yeah.
So I was excited. I finally got to see what viticulture is all about, and I want to try.
I know that's like one game that I think is kind of. It's one of those ones that you say it and you're like, oh, you should play that because it's. Yeah. I don't want to say it's like a staple in the hobby, but like a lot of people have played it and.
Yeah.
You should play.
Right. And it was cool. It was interesting, like with there was like certain I don't know what they were, seasons or like, you know, like you could only like we're playing in this section of worker.
It's like this
spots.
Is the fall and you can place workers here. So you can choose to pass.
Right. So at the beginning, like you only have like 4 workers and there's 4 different seasons. So it's like you got to pick and choose, like, do I just play 1 per season? If I play 2 in one season, then I'm not going to be able to play any in the other season. And so like that was like
you liked that decision?
Interesting decisions. Yeah, and then you finally get more workers, so you can kind of like do more stuff. And
the seasons sort of match what you are kind of doing, right? Like in the winter, you can't grow any grapes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're kind of trying to plan that out.
Yeah. But it was also kind of like, it's even that part still kind of felt like tight because like you have to pick and choose exactly what you want to do because like if you do this here then you're not gonna be able to do this over here, so which one do you want to do because you got to save your worker, do this one over here. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know, I thought that was kind of fun
and that board is, have you played with Tuscany or you've just played?
I've played with some Tuscany boards. I've not played with the Tuscany board. I've only ever played with the base viticulture.
The base board sucks. I will never play this game without the Tuscany board with the 4 different seasons.
Do I have to buy the Tuscany Essentials to get that board, or is that board in the Viticulture Essentials box that you got us?
Good question. I don't know.
That's fine.
My head.
That's not a big deal.
But yeah, when it adds the extra seasons, it's just so much better.
Yeah.
Than just the 2 separate ones.
Right. There's only 2 in the base board that I've ever played.
The 4 is so much better.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have any other games you want to talk about for Friday?
Those are the only 2 I played on Friday.
So Saturday begins the way Friday begins. Only I'm much more exhausted already, right? Getting up in the morning was next to impossible after the day we had Friday, which was insane amounts of stress and worry garnished with equally insane amounts of joy and relief. But all of it was a recipe for exhaustion. And to cap it off, it was like an 18-hour day of nonstop go, go, go. So Saturday started off a bit of a fog for me and Natalie. I would
actually, for me, I woke up Saturday and I was like, I'm good to go.
Okay, Saturday I was fucked. All right. We were also worried about attendance on Saturday. We had a lot of people show up on Friday, and there were still probably 75% of the badges unclaimed.
Yeah,
and it was terrifying. We had so many people show up on Saturday morning that did not even register. And that was something noteworthy for the entire weekend that I'd like to talk about. Yeah. The amount of people we had show up to Nerdfest that had not even heard about us until like the hour before from a friend, like Natalie talked about earlier, was staggering. So we were just creating badges, creating them left and right. And it wasn't yet noon, and the place was filling up really quick.
Yeah.
It was really pretty amazing. At one point, Christopher from the Upkeep came up to me and was like, do you have any more tables? Because you guys are basically at capacity. And that was like terrifying music to my ears. I was like, oh shit, already? It's happening? At the same time, I was like, yes, fuck yes, we did it. Oh my God, look at this. It's all happening. Fuck yeah. Ah!
Like, we're also like, it's only noon.
I spent most of my time either at registration or behind the snack counter. And the vantage point at registration was the worst for seeing the place because there was this giant fucking column of fireplace in the way. But the best, like I talked about earlier, for interacting with people as being the first person you see. So I interacted with almost every single person at the entire convention in some form. Welcomed them, set the tone for what to expect. But the real magic was being behind the counter, the snack counter, where you have the best vantage point and can see everything, everywhere, all at once. And there were a few moments on Saturday where Natalie and I were together, and we were just like, oh my God, this might be the best feeling we've ever had. I don't know how to explain it. I can't remember ever feeling anything like that. I don't know that I can describe it to you. It's just like this thing that I've dreamed about for a decade in the back of my mind that I kind of thought would never happen is happening, and it's more successful than I could have ever imagined. And every single person is looking to me like they're having the greatest time. And at that point, when I thought about that, my favorite moment of the fest had not even happened yet.
Yeah.
Right? So fast forward to the Tumbling Dice tournament. We had over 60 people in the tournament. The prize was this really cool trophy that I found that Plurpy's friend 3D printed for me. Painted beautifully by Jamie Daggers. Yep. Holy fuck. She drew the Nerdfest logo on the thing freehand.
I saw her doing that because I saw her painting it. And then I'm like, oh, cool, she's painting it. And then I saw that she started to do the Nerdfest logo. I'm like, that's going to be sweet.
I know. Yeah. So should I try to freehand this? We're like, yeah.
Yes, please. And it looked so good. And the other grand prize was a brand new copy of Frosthaven. The tournament was, to quote Ben Kennard, just like a giant party. It wasn't even just a game day anymore. It was like a giant party with everyone mingling, having a blast. Natalie and I were right in the middle of it, watching it, eating our boy pizza and our girl pizza. It was fucking magical. Seeing all the people who I didn't even know getting so into the tournament, like Cheyenne and Andrew's friends, Heather and Dennis, they were just seeing people like that who I didn't really know, and they're like,
they were awesome. They even
man.
got into events. Awesome. They were like, they were playing up. They were awesome.
and they were having a good it was stuff like seeing people like that who I didn't know. Or there was the other two guys that were also in the competition. Natalie, I think you talked to them.
Brett and Grant.
Oh, I loved them. And they were, I think they might hang out with Sam because they kind of live kind of close to Sam. But watching them, they were like engaged and super happy. Sam at the tournament was great. Emily and we can't not talk about Lance.
Oh my gosh,
right?
Lance
in the...
I think he had a permanent giant smile plastered on his face for the entire tournament.
It was so that was, I don't even know how to explain. Curtis loved it so much.
Curtis and Joanna.
Resident Giant Curtis Howlett loved it so much. He went home and made his own board. Did you know that?
Yeah, I saw some in the Discord.
Yeah, that was Curtis.
That's too cool.
How cool, by the way, meeting Curtis.
Oh my gosh.
Do you think that Curtis went home and ripped a tree out of the ground?
Absolutely. And chewed it
bare hands.
And chewed it with his teeth until it formed the board.
Yeah.
And just like karate chopped these things. He's so tall.
He's a tall man.
I have not felt that inferior.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. I literally had to look up.
I was emasculated because he like tousled my hair and he had to get on his knees
in the forehead.
I think I came up to like
so
his
Natalie
hip.
was like, I come up to your waist, and I was like, oh man.
Joanna, his wife, was like, I think you could fit in his pant leg.
What else do you want to see down there?
Imagine getting Joanna was really tall too.
I know she was.
Yeah.
But man, how cool! So okay, that's another thing I want to talk about, and I kind of wanted to save some of this until we talk about in the top 5. But how cool was it to have people like Ta, Peter, Jason, Janelle, Curtis, who came from like out of state?
Yeah,
and I mean like out of state,
Plurpy.
Yeah, Chris
Matt
Wilson,
Plurpy,
Matt Cousineau. Yeah, right.
Curtis
flying
in. Yeah, like okay, that was cool. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But so I cannot adequately describe to you how I felt the entire day on Saturday, but I just keep using the word magical, which is stupid. But that's what it was. It felt like fucking magic. The Gathering, only not the card game.
Oh my gosh. Well, I kind of felt like
people
a gathering of
like an out of body experience. Like for me, I was like sitting around looking around and I'm like, I don't feel like I did this. I feel like I'm just attending some event, and it was like almost hard to comprehend the fact that we made this happen.
There was this guy named Mark. I think you just talked about him not too long ago. He was another guy, Jeff, that Bill was like, I see that guy all over the place too.
Yeah, he was so great.
He was also in the Tumble and Dice tournament, and he was having a blast. He came up to me at one point, and I mean, again, I'll get more into this later, but he came up to me at one point and he was like, so how many years have you been doing this? And I was like, well, this is really the first year it's like this, but we, it's been the party that we've done for a year. And he's like, this is the first one. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I would never have guessed that in a million years. He's like, this seems like a thing.
Like, what a compliment.
Yeah, like, cool. Yes. Like, he says that, and I'm just like, I want to hug you.
Yeah. Like, I have a phone.
I'm not going to, but I want to. Yeah. I want to hug you badly.
God. The amount of things that people said like that, I mean, I cried like 15 times.
Yeah. Let's hold that. Jeff, what was your Saturday experience?
Okay, so Saturday is always, when we talk about Nerdfest of old, Saturday is always the busiest
day.
Yes.
Because as us being degenerates, we always take Friday off of work.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the normal people show up Friday night, or they're like, it's work. I'm going to show up
I'll be there tomorrow.
So everyone's kind of there on Saturday, and that's also when we have the Tumble and Dice tournament or class where I beat people in Crokinole. Like, all these things happen on the Saturday, so Saturday's always the biggest day.
Yeah.
It's always the day that Devin is also there, so my mom offers to watch kids, so Devin gets to show up, and I was really excited to see her at lunch. I signed up for an event early, so the one event that I signed up for was Amsterdam. And I was like, okay, I'm going to play Amsterdam with Bill and Dave and Peter, who, I don't know if you're going to mention this later, signed up for everything.
You signed up for every event?
Peter signed up for every single event because he had no fucking idea that he didn't
He thought he
have
had
to.
Yeah.
So I
thought that was
texted
how we
him.
played games.
I was like, are you going to be here? And an hour later, while we're already playing the game, he's like, nope. And so, anyway, and what was, I'll get to the game that I want to talk about in a second, but after Amsterdam was done, which was too long, I looked up, and that was the moment where you were like,
full.
I need to get another table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to eat lunch.
Yeah.
And I don't have a place to eat fucking lunch.
Right.
I'm like, I want to eat Taco Bell, and where do I go?
Yeah, I
sit in my car.
I can't leave.
There's so
if I leave, I lose this.
At that point, I was looking around. People are like splitting tables. Like 2 games are happening at these single 8-foot tables. And that was like, I was like, there's a lot of fucking people.
A lot,
Yeah.
man.
I even came up to you guys. I'm like, do you see how many people are here? Like,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
lots of
I think it was
people
right before that was when Chris was like, if you have any more tables, now's the time.
Yeah.
Like,
It is
it's
Well,
full.
that's one thing we talked about when we were, before it even all started, we were setting up the tables. Ryan was like really concerned because he's like, each table has 8 chairs, but like, what if like 4 people are playing here? Like maybe 4 other
Yeah,
people don't
you're
want to
gonna
sit right
have
next
to-
to them.
Yeah, you're going to have to get real close.
He's
You're
like,
gonna
so
have to.
that's not really technically the 200 chairs that we have that, you know what I mean? Like we might
Right.
run out of space even
people are
quicker
going to
than
and
200.
they did. People just kind of
Yeah.
were like, we're going to play right next to you.
Yeah. And I had a good time that day talking to a bunch of people and talking to, the randos that I didn't know were going to be there or I had never met or that I was playing games with. And are you going to talk about games you played Saturday or
Yeah.
no?
Yeah. Yeah. If
Should I
you
just jump
have
in?
one, yeah.
All right,
jump
I
in.
want to talk
Yeah,
about Amsterdam. So if you're looking for like game talk, here's Amsterdam. So Amsterdam is a re-implementation of Macau.
okay. That's not Hamburg.
Queen did right. Queen Games did this. Their City Collection or something. City Collection, right? All these Feld city games are like new or re-implemented. Most of them are re-implemented. Hamburg is Rialto.
No, Bruges, right?
Bruges, yeah. Hamburg is Bruges. New York is Rialto.
Okay.
Amsterdam is Macau.
Weird. Why did they do
Just
this?
bullshit names. And I'm also, I was also talking with Bill and I laugh about this. Like, you're picking names of cities that already have fucking games named after them. There are so many cities in the world that you can just make up. And again, it's just, you're making up a theme in a city. So why did you pick these? Anyway.
Weird.
Or you could have just called it Macau.
Yeah. Why
and
why
re-implemented it.
change it? Yeah. Macau too.
So whether it's a design thing or they don't have the rights to the name, so they had to change something, blah, 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 whatever. This is, it was new. He just got the Kickstarter a few weeks ago, and he got Amsterdam and I think Bora Bora even got a reprint.
Did it really?
Yeah, whatever.
Jeez. Yeah, he got
Bill taught
Hamburg
it
and
because Peter didn't show up and because he had no clue. He brought Janelle over, so I was really excited because this was the first game I got to play with Janelle over the weekend. So it was me, Dave, Janelle, and Bill.
Oh, very cool.
And
okay.
We all just assumed Janelle was going to win. I don't think she won this game, but so in this game you are merchants in Amsterdam. Shocking. Original.
Right.
Again,
in Macau.
And didn't need to be called Amsterdam.
Yeah, right.
So this main board, which I think is absolutely beautiful. So the updated artwork is very like bright and vibrant. And same thing with Hamburg when they redid Bruges, because Bruges is a dull game. This just kind of like brightens it up, and it's beautiful. So there are kind of two areas. There's like a city area, which is at the bottom, and it's broken up into different districts and different colors. There's goods on each space down there, and then there's this canal at the top of the board.
Okay.
Which is where you basically, after you pick up those goods, you drop them off at different places. So at different ports throughout the canal.
Oh, it's like pick up and deliver then.
There's some of that. So that's like one of the, it's a Feld game, so there's a shitload of ways to get points.
Sure.
That's one of the ways to sort of get points. Each round starts with a card draft where players are selecting what cards that they're going to be forced to build in the game. All the cards are, they have different powers, they have endgame scoring, they have immediate bonus. Normal, like, card selecting things. Each card has a cost in cubes that if you don't build by the end of the game, you lose points like exponentially every time you don't build them at the end of the game, which is bad. So some of them you're like, oh, this is a great power, but it costs more. Can I build it in the right time? At the end of the game, we were just sort of grabbing cards like, all right, I have to build this one. It's the only one I can build this round. Let me grab this. So, and then there are 6 dice that are rolled that match 6 different color resource cubes. Okay. So there's 6 different colors. They roll the dice, and you then choose the dice that you want that matches the color, and you get that many resource cubes of the
Based
dice
on the
that was
pips?
rolled. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
for example, if a 2 was rolled on pink, you get 2 pink cubes. Okay.
Yep.
Here's the thing. Everyone has this resource wheel. Okay, and the number of cubes that you choose goes on that space of the resource wheel, and you basically don't have access of those until that many number of rounds have passed.
Oh.
So you'd think in your head, why wouldn't I just take the 6 all the
Right.
time? Because that's the most. But now it's 6 rounds away from you getting it. So you take 6 cubes and you put it on the 6 space, and this wheel turns, and when you get to the, like, it turns, and then the open space is the one you take out of that slice. So on one turn, I could take the 6 and put it on the 6 space. It would then rotate, and now it's on the 5 space. So if I take 5 the next round, now I have a shitload in that one sliver of the pie as the wheel rotates
Which you'll
around.
get 5 turns from now.
Right. So if you want cubes faster, you have to take less cubes. If you want more, you have to wait.
So you could be
plan
like,
it out.
first take 6, then take 5, then take 4,
And it's
then
all
take
one.
3.
Yeah.
It's all in
and then you
one
have,
slice. Yeah.
So there is also, I think we all had a round. It was maybe the 3rd round where that number just wasn't rolled. So everybody was like, well, I don't
Gotcha.
have any cubes. So you
Hey.
just kind of like moved on. So there's times where you have 3 cubes, and there are times where you had 15.
Wow.
Which is kind of crazy. But that was a cool system. You might need to like look up a picture of it to sort of get what I'm trying to say. But and then basically on your turn, so who's ever first uses their cubes to do a bunch of stuff. Pick up goods, deliver goods, move your boat, move your other boat, get cards played, which could activate other things, spend cubes on this event that you could do. And you get, I think there's 12 rounds, 14, some even number of rounds. And you get points for a whole bunch of stuff throughout the game for like delivering those goods places. You get points for endgame cards, controlling those districts in the southern portion of that board. You get points for having like the longest chain of your like connected districts, right? This kind of stuff. So here's what I liked about it. The look was great. Like I said, it's more eye-grabbing than most Feld games. It doesn't look like Amerigo or Old Bruges or Old Macau. Like it has an updated look, which I think will draw people
That is
to
very
the game
cool.
a lot. The only difference that I know from Macau, because I haven't played it, to this game is that as you're moving your boat around the canal, the further locations away are worth more points when you drop stuff off than the closer ones. And I think Macau, they were all the same.
Oh, okay.
Which was weird for
Yeah,
a lot
that
of
is
people,
weird.
and I
Going
complained.
close and
So
getting a bunch of points.
Yeah. My assumption would be like that's upgraded, as well as some of the cards are probably
Updated, yeah.
fresh and whatever. Yeah. I really like that resource wheel management thing. It was just so different, and that puzzle was like yes. It was like a challenging puzzle that you were like, yes, look at this turn. And then you're like, fuck, if I don't roll a 4, I'm not getting any cubes.
Right.
And that sucks. And you lose points when you don't have any cubes in a round. And I'm like, that's not good. So please roll a 4. And so you're like balancing that, or like, I need 1 orange, but it's like, I need it now, not 3 rounds from now. So that can be really fun, challenging. But if you don't like that, that could be really frustrating.
Yeah.
Because you want resources now. It would be...
You have to get into a mindset where you're not going to get it for a while, potentially.
Right.
And then you're sitting and trying to plan, like... initially I just like took big numbers, like a couple at first. I'm like, okay, well now let me think about... Now let me look at the 3s and 4s and add it to that pile. It was crunchy in a really good way. Because I think most games would just be, you would just get the resources. Or you picked one color, you can exchange things. But in Feld's brain, he kind of figured out this cool thing. It was almost, if you like the glass road wheel and the hands on the glass road where you're spending 1 but losing that kind of thing. Cool. That made me feel a little bit like that. So if you like that puzzle, I think that's something that is a part of this game you'll really love. Downside, the downtime is brutal.
Oh.
It was so brutal at 4 in our first game because on your turn, you're doing everything that you can do with all your cubes. You're spending all of your cubes. It's not like, hey, I'm going to build or I'm going to pick up this good. Ryan, now it's your turn. This is, I'm going to spend all 15 of my cubes.
Oh, shit.
And then that's my turn. And then if Ryan has 2 cubes, he spends 2 cubes. And if Natalie has 20, you're now waiting for Natalie to spend 20 cubes.
And I just waited for you to spend 15.
And you just waited. So it's like, that can be so brutal. And then someone can jump you in turn order, and you just went first, and now you're last. So and everybody's spending their 15. It was to the point where I stood up and like walked around and talked to some people during the game. And that felt shitty. And I know that it'll speed up with more plays and it makes more, like, I get that. But it was...
I'm surprised I didn't address that because that is one of Feld's earlier designs, Macau.
Yeah.
Right? That's one of his earlier designs. So that's a long time ago game. I'm a little surprised they didn't update.
Yeah, and I don't know if...
How could they, I guess?
And and Bill said this a couple times. We're learning the rules and the drafting, and we're having to read all the cards. I know.
True.
And maybe it was the environment, right? I wanted to talk to people.
Right.
I'm picking my head up and it's 11 o'clock on Saturday and everybody's here.
Yeah.
So at a game night, it might feel different. We're laughing, joking a little different. But the downtime was rough.
Okay.
I think at 2, it would be minimal because you're just going back and forth. And I think this game might be amazing at 2.
Really?
Because I loved that. I think you would really like that wheel.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
I think you'd really like that.
Yeah, it reminds me of Palaces of Carrara.
Yeah, yeah, and that's another one that if you like that puzzle, it was great. And the pick up and deliver didn't feel like that wasn't the biggest part of it.
Yeah, okay, good.
It wasn't like I wouldn't sit and say this is a pick up and deliver game. I think this is a resource management game. And not only do you have to manage the cubes, you have to manage how you're going to get those fucking cubes because it might be impossible. Iconography was a little weird, so I liked everything that I was doing in the game, but I just wish it was done faster. I wish the game was over in 2 hours with a teach instead of like 3 hours with a teach.
Yeah.
I also got the ever-loving shit kicked out of me.
Did you? Oh, no.
In this game, where I felt like on turn 9, I was like right with everybody. We're all in the 40s. Okay,
sure.
I'm right there. And then at turn 12, I was like 50 points behind.
Like, how the fuck
how did that happen?
Right. What did I do so badly?
And that's what I didn't know. And that would probably come with more plays. And because Bill owns it, we'll play it more. We'll play it on game night.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was... I liked what I was doing. Again, just I wish it was done faster. In this game. And I know a lot of people are getting this game like now and are playing it. If you play this and play it at 2, I really want to know how it is at 2.
Sure.
Especially for you guys. I think this could be a game
that could be
really
great at 2. Cool. It does sound really good.
It would be so much easier if you had, 15 cubes, Natalie had 2. Your turn takes 6-7 minutes, and then Natalie gets to go right now. And then maybe Natalie has the big turn. So it's like, it's not 3 people in a row that have these big turns. Yeah. And then I'm getting just destroyed, and it's like, here's my one. I'm going to pay this cube to move.
That sounds terrible in a 4+ player game.
Yeah. So if anybody else has played this at 4 and have had similar experience or didn't, again, maybe it's environment, maybe it's whatever, but that was my downside.
But overall, you think you might seek it out to play with Devin?
I don't think so.
Hate this?
I don't know if Devin would enjoy that resource puzzle as much as like I would.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Devin she would have to think, I think, too far in advance for any game that I've known she really loves.
Yeah.
And even a game like Underwater Cities that she loves, or Arc Nova that she loves. There's a finite number of things. You're thinking about a lot with those resources and what to plan. And if you don't plan something, you immediately you lose points, which hurts. So I don't think I'd play it with her, but I would play it at game night again if Bill has it out, especially because now the three of us have played, so we could pick up the pace a little bit. So that was Amsterdam. That was my only event I signed up for because I didn't want to be like
tied down to those. Yeah.
I even dropped out of tumbling dice because I was like,
we did too. We were in that too.
And
we
dropped
out.
What if I win? And
that was the reason I didn't want to be in.
We're like, we don't want to win.
I wouldn't win, but I also, it would be a bummer if like I'm in the finals to,
that's
like
not
that.
the point
That's
of
not
it.
cool.
Yeah.
There's another game I want to talk about on Saturday that I played a couple times on Saturday. I don't know if you want me to start talking about that one, and then you jump in.
Which one?
The Last Message.
Oh, do it.
You want to do that?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, was that Saturday?
Well, we played it on Sunday.
Yeah, I played it on Saturday.
Jeff played it on Saturday.
We can talk about it on Sunday. Do you want to wait for Sunday?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about a game first, Natalie, on Saturday, and then we'll hit it on Sunday? I played
there's just like a
nothing
couple.
on
So
Saturday.
I played Witchstone for the second time with Sam again, because the first time we played at our house, me and Sam. So I played Witchstone with Ben M and Sam, and I loved that game the first time, and I still love that game.
Really? You liked it just as much?
Do you have it or no?
Yeah,
we do.
Okay. We have it. I really like it a lot. That one's really fun. I almost got a sunburn.
Feels like a Feld game.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
It totally does.
It totally does.
Points.
I almost got a sunburn because the sun was like shining.
Which is weird because it was cold as fuck.
Yeah,
really
but the sun was shining through the window right on us. Like I had to take my sweater off and my arm was in the sun.
I put a magnifying glass right on that part of the thing.
My arm was like right in the sun and I was like, I literally could get a sunburn right now. But at that time, that's when it was like the most packed. And we're like, well, we can't switch tables. There's no other tables to go to.
Right, where are we going to go?
So we're stuck in this like heat.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I know. I'm sorry about your misery, but man, that's cool.
I know. It's
that's cool.
So we played that, and then I think I played a game. I played the game.
Oh, you did?
With the 5-2 crew at the snack counter.
At the snack
I was working the counter, and then they came up, and we just like played a quick game of the game.
It's a great game.
That was super fun, but kind of, besides the tumbling dice, which was like probably one of the highlights of the entire thing.
Yeah.
Maybe like the second game highlight for me was late at night on Saturday. I played Overload Cafe with Ben, Sam, Curtis, and Joanna, and Chris Wilson, and we beat it. We won.
Nice.
And it was
you guys were
so.
very
Is that the one
excited.
that Wally jumped in on, or was that a different?
No,
game?
that was a different one.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
Wally didn't play that one. It was so much fun, and if you listen to the Date Night Thrice podcast, you heard how me and Ben mind melded at one point, and then I guessed his card, the only card he had left to get us through that round, and I guessed it right after we mind melded, and so like that was crazy.
That's cool.
I played that game a bunch now with a bunch of different people, and I always feel like
I'm better than everybody.
No,
yeah, you are.
I feel like there's definitely like several people in each game I've played that they're just like they struggle with it.
I'm right here. You don't have to talk about me.
Me too.
But in this game, I felt like every single
struggle.
person was like,
everyone was good. Oh, I didn't play with Jeff and Ryan.
Yeah, right. Right.
Who just suck.
No.
They suck at this
We do
game.
suck at it.
So we found good people to play with.
I like it. Jeff hates
everybody
it. I
was
like
like really good. Like I remember like going around and I'm like, man, they're like they've got this. They've got this.
Right.
Like we all got this. And
did they seem to enjoy it as much as you?
yeah, I think so.
So-
Everybody was really into it. It was just like really fun. And this is the only game I played with Curtis and Joanna, and like I really liked them. They were awesome people. They were so fun.
As an outlier of that game, because I was playing Lords of Vegas at the same time.
Next
to
to
we were playing that. You guys were up front, closer to the fireplace.
Yeah.
And the snack bar, like in that little area. And we were like behind. So we're playing Lords of Vegas, which is a rowdy game.
Yeah.
Right? Rolling dice, yelling, and Chris Wilson at one point is like, "You guys keep it down over here." And I'm like, "Shut up!
Shut the fuck up,
Shut the fuck up!"
Yeah.
And then like 5 minutes later, you guys are over there like, "Hot coffee," and then your table like erupts.
Oh yeah, I actually heard
like
Chris specifically.
Shut up!
I heard him.
You guys yelled. You guys just said hot coffee, and then we're like,
Yeah.
"Wah!"
Yeah, it might have been the time we mind melded because I like put
I'm
my
like,
hand
we're
on
making
the table.
casinos over
and,
here
like,
getting excited.
Ben
You
put
said
his
hot
hand on
coffee.
mine, and I'm like, iced lemon tea, and he's like, that's my card, and everyone's like, whoa!
Yeah, you guys like went
just
bananas.
Like, yeah.
Just like 2 seconds after Chris Wilson told me to shut up.
Yeah,
Like,
and then he
about
yells
iced
even louder.
lemon tea.
That game's
That's
so
really
fun.
that's actually
Yeah.
really funny.
Yeah. A couple other games I want. So with the Tumbling Dice tournament, I was able to sort of like see it. We were in the corner by the bathroom.
Oh, that was the
during that-
Kalimala game?
During playing
Yeah.
Kalimala, which Bill and I had played before, and
and
I was
Kevin.
happy to pull in Ben and Kevin. So I got to play with Kevin, which was cool, and I had played Heaven and Nail with Ben, so I was like, okay, I got checking people off the list,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And there was moments where I was teaching Kalimala, and I kind of teach the game, and then the hook to Kalimala is that there's this action stacking, sort of. If you take the same action that someone else does, the action disc below it activate as well. And the moment I said that, both Ben and Kevin were like, whoa, okay. Ben was even like, I knew what I was doing until just now. Like, and that was just so cool. And I think both this game that doesn't get a lot of love or attention caught them both off guard, and they really liked it.
Oh,
which
yeah.
was cool.
Yeah.
And they were both in the Tumbling Dice tournament, and we kind of were like, all right, well, when you guys are up, we'll just pause, right?
Yeah.
And we got through that game like lightning quick too.
Did
which
you
is
really?
Great. It takes like an hour and 10 minutes to play,
Wow.
which is great.
Yeah, he loved it. Ben
But
loved
just
that game.
seeing like the crowd sort of on the other side of the room, just like erupting in random
Yeah.
things and like yelling was really fun
Right.
to see.
Even like when the tournament, like, would whittle down and people were out, they were still all
They were all
They
gathered.
weren't like
People
going
were
to
just,
play
like,
a
huddled.
game.
Everyone was
They were
gathered, like,
gathering
I wanna
around,
see
like,
what's going on
watching
now.
and cheering.
I know the
and-
pressure was on.
It was.
Oh man! And like one thing I liked that Emily said on the Date Night Thrice podcast about it, she was like, I felt like she's like every round you're in, you're all of a sudden you're with these 4 people, and she's like, I don't even know these people, but it felt like you're in this together.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're like all of a sudden
Here we
Or
go,
they're your
guys.
arch
quickly
nemesis.
friends.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, that was just a cool thing to hear.
Yeah, I was able on Saturday night. I was also able to play a giant game of Green Team Wins. I think we played with 11 or 12.
Ooh, and that's the
Wow.
max,
Really
right?
cool. Yeah,
That's
and we
cool.
played with it was just like a mishmash of like I think I don't know if Matt Riddle started or Adam started. He was like, I want to play Green Team Wins, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna walk around the room. I'm just gonna be like, Ta, come play with us.
Yeah.
CB Wilson, come play with us. I was just like, boom, like, and it was just like this cool group. The Howlands played, and I was like,
Yeah.
let's play.
That's cool.
And I had played Green Team Wins with Curtis a few hours before with Curtis and Ash and Misty, who were amazing. And it
Oh,
was
yeah,
so
Ash
cool
and
that
Misty.
They were
That's
there
right.
Gosh,
because
so
I've talked to
many
them
cool
on Instagram so much.
Right.
It was amazing. And Ash grew up in Michigan, and
Yep.
it was just so cool to like see them in person and meet them. So I played it earlier, and I taught it, and I was like, look at this group of like, no one knows anybody. Like,
Yeah.
there's like almost like 3 pockets of people that kind of knew each other
And
a
they
little
all
bit.
came
and they all
together
kind
to
of
play.
came
Oh,
together
that's
to
cool.
write down,
That's super
you know,
cool.
bring donuts instead of eggs.
Yeah,
Laugh about
right.
it, and that
Forks
was
are
really
better
cool.
than spoons.
I also played Downtown Farmers Market on Saturday with the parents of Devin's
A student.
student that showed
Oh,
up. or
right.
ran
The people that were,
podcast.
I was like, we
Yeah.
talked about it on our podcast. And he was like, I don't think so.
Yeah, he's
And
like,
was
I haven't got to that one.
I
don't
think
even
you
know if I
have. Go
knew
talk
that
to
they
Jeff.
showed up.
They did,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think we were both. Maybe it wasn't you that was with me because I was at registration when they came.
Yeah, and then Devin ended up being there, so Devin was able to
Oh,
say
cool.
hi at that time. But yeah, and when I left, I was like, just ignore episode whatever when we talked about you.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I'll have to listen to
I
it
got to
now.
listen to it now.
So that Saturday was a cool
Ugh,
was a
it
cool
so
day to
good.
see.
Yeah.
And then it lasted a long time too, right? Like it wound down, but it was just like
Right.
hopping.
Yes.
From like
Yeah.
12 to like
Yes.
8 o'clock.
Yes.
Well, even, like-
agreed. Right from
Like after the
lunchtime-ish.
Tumbling Dice tournament, I felt like a lot of people left and it was kind of late. But then also a lot of people were still there, just like, okay, let's get into the next game.
Right,
And
here we
it's
go.
like 10 p.m.
Tumble Dice
you know
is
what
done.
I
Let's
mean?
do some more. That
Right.
was I loved that about it. Like Jeff said, I was extremely exhausted, but it was good tired. It was the kind of tired that was like I was proud of it.
Yeah.
You know, like man, all right, this is going really well. It's very stressful, and not stressful is not the word. It's very exhausting.
yeah.
But man, like just like Natalie said there, the Tumble Dice tournament was the highlight, I thought. And then after that was over, it wasn't the end of the party. People were just like, okay, now
Right,
what?
I played
Here
it
we go.
overload after that.
Let's go again. Here we go. So
I also, real quick, want to
Yeah.
mention, because they didn't come on Sunday. So,
Gross.
like, Friday and Saturday,
Double gross.
there was, like, Matt Riddle, Ben Pinchback, and Adam Hill. And I felt like, again, just like everybody else, like, I felt like they were having, like, such a great time.
Really?
I also, like, really liked, yeah, they were...
They had a really good time. I
They were
think.
so nice.
Just telling them
they
they
seemed
did.
like
They
they were
did.
Yeah,
having.
you had a good
They
time.
seemed like they were having a great time. They were playing with a bunch of people. I also really liked that a bunch of people got to play with Matt Riddle, like people seemed like excited, like I played a game with Matt Riddle, and I saw like it wasn't just like he wouldn't just like play with his own group. He played with like a bunch of people. Like I saw him play with Plurpy. He talked a lot with like Matt Cousineau and did stuff with him, and I was like, that's so cool that these people came here, and then they just happened to get to play these games with this guy Matt Riddle who
this pretty
who
good
made
designer.
games that they like.
Well, that's what Matt Cousineau said. He's like, how cool was it? Like Matt Riddle got to play my game and give me feedback on my game, and
like
that's
that
cool.
kind of thing is a really
on Saturday
cool
night there was this
side
couple
thing.
and I forget their names, but they were like walking around with three sisters, and she was walking around with three sisters, and I was like, you know, Matt Riddle's over there, and she's like, yeah, but I don't know if I want to go talk to him.
Oh, really?
I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna introduce you.
Yeah.
So let's go.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So I'm like,
tell me
come over
about that.
here.
Yeah, let's hear
just
that.
go over there. So I like brought her, and I'm assuming boyfriend or husband or something.
Sure.
Or maybe brother.
Brother.
But, yeah. So I was like, let's just go. So I like kind of interrupted their game. I was like, do you have like a moment to pause? And I was like, you know, this is her, and this is, you know, Matt Riddle, and these are all the guys who made this game. And they just ended up like talking, and he signed the inside of all three of them signed the inside of the box.
Really?
And, it was just super cool, and they ended up talking, and it was like 5 minutes of just like this cool thing. And we walked away. She was like, "Thank you, that was so cool."
Right.
And I just thought that was like a fun thing to just be able to like. I also in the moment was like, "Oh, I know him. Come on."
Yeah,
I know.
I like met him like a half a time 8 years ago, but like
you're playing host.
and,
That's
yeah,
what you do.
and that was just
Yeah.
that was cool.
Well, it's just it feels like
That's
because
fucking-
the
I'm glad you told
because
me that. I'm
even
really glad
though
you
it
told me
was
that.
like I wouldn't even call it like big, but for us it was big. It still was such like an intimate event that I felt like you could just easily do that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everybody, like you said earlier, was like Matt Riddle. He's a great guy. Like I've known him for years. He's always been extremely approachable.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't think that. Like Jeff's talking to this girl who's got three sisters, and he's like, "Hey, look, Matt Riddle's there," and she's like, "I don't know if I should go."
Yeah.
You know, once you introduce him, it's like, "Oh, why didn't I? I could have just came up to
Yeah.
him."
Right.
He's so like they're so easygoing and nice. So Sunday started off the same as Saturday for me. I was fucking exhausted.
Sunday,
I did not
I was
have
exhausted.
any idea how I was going to function
Same. We're
on
like, how
Sunday.
are we gonna get to
I
this day?
arose like a zombie, made it there like 8:30, set up for the day, and away we went. Sunday was much milder than the
Yes,
previous 2
much.
days, which is expected.
Yeah.
Normal.
And was great. I was pretty much completely out of steam anyway by Sunday afternoon. I found myself just waiting for 6 p.m. to hit so I could go home and sleep for the next century. It was a great day. My kids came up and helped work the counter a little bit. We played a few games with them, like Green Team Wins, which we had a big game of that too, right? Lexi played with that.
We did.
Lexi helped me in the game of Planet Unknown that we got played. And then we played another game that I really enjoyed that Jeff's going to talk about called Last Message.
Yeah, so I don't know. I wish I could pinpoint why I found this game. I don't know if it was just like advertised somewhere, and I was like, let me just click on it. And in my head, I was like, this is a good game for my students to play. Mm-hmm. So it's put out by Yellow Games, and I was able to play it on Saturday, either pre or post Taco Bell at the table.
Okay.
So when I sat down and we split
Post.
that table in half, we were actually there was
Saturday.
two groups playing Guild Immersion Explorers. I was playing with Jen, Mel,
cool.
and Devin, and Amanda and Wally were playing with Ash and Misty. So we had two kind of separate
At that
games
same
going.
table.
Yeah, at the same game where we all played.
Yeah.
And then we ate lunch, and I was like, I have this game that we can all sort of play. So
Oh, so you played with the group of
the
two.
other side, Ash and Misty, I think
cool.
went and played like a real game, and then it was Curtis sat down, Devin, Mel, Jen, Amanda, and Wally.
Awesome.
So, and then the next night on Sunday, I played it with the two of you, Ryan, Natalie, Janelle, Lexi, and Plurpy.
Yep.
And so this is going to be an odd explanation of this game. So there is a Waldo micro macro type picture, okay? But it's full of like there's a caveman scene, and there's a space scene or a cowboy
Right.
scene or a zombie scene, okay? And
Packed
there is the
full of
same
people.
thing everywhere in that picture.
Yes.
So there's the same zombie with his arm over his head 5 times.
Right.
There is a caveman sitting at a fire 15 times on that thing. So they're like, it's just like a crowded shit fuck of pictures, right? Just everywhere, okay? This chaotic picture, okay? So you have to basically pick 2 people to be behind a screen. And behind the screen, they have their own copy of the picture. So if you pick the space picture, the people behind the screen have their own picture, and the people on the other side of the screen have the same picture, just a little bigger, okay? one person on the other side of the screen is the victim, and the other person is the criminal. Okay, criminal is going to pick one person behind the screen on that picture that committed the crime.
This is the Waldo.
Okay, it is the job of everyone on the other side of the screen to figure out who the one person is in this map of shitfuck everywhere, right? Okay,
That's a great word.
The victim apparently had one last opportunity to draw us a picture of what happened. Okay, so this is who knows the theme. Anyway, so the victim has this 3x3 whiteboard grid. Okay, has 30 seconds, so a timer's flipped. 30 seconds to draw a picture on this whiteboard.
It's not enough time.
Basically anything. No. It's not enough time to draw anything. So you're scribbling. You can half write words, whatever you want, and their goal is to lead the people on the other side of the screen to finding that one single person.
Right.
Okay. After 30 seconds is up, the criminal gets to erase part of the board, which might be the whole fucking thing if you didn't draw anything on the board.
Yeah.
So of the 9 squares in the first round, the criminal gets to erase 5.
5.
And then in the second round, 4, 3, and 2. So you get 4 rounds, and you get, on the other side of the screen, you get one guess. So you look at these scraggly ass lines, and you try to interpret, maybe it's this, maybe it's a headdress, maybe it's a feather, maybe it's this fire, and you just fucking guess. Okay, you take one guess, you go, maybe it's that guy. And they go, no. Okay. And then
I wonder if anyone has ever gotten it right on the very first round.
And then the next round starts. And then they try again. They learn from their mistakes and they scribble again. And then the criminal erases the best 4 squares on there. And then you try again. And you play 4 rounds. If you don't guess them 4 rounds, criminal wins. If you do, you win. This game was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's way better.
Okay, so I sat down. I'm like, this is either going to be one or two extreme. It's either going to suck because we're going to figure it out right away, or it's going to suck because you have no fucking idea how to find someone in this.
Right.
And then when we played the first time on Saturday, the first round we're like, no way. It's going to be that one extreme. We're never going to get it. Because Amanda started to draw something and the timer was up and she's like, that was practice. Stop.
I didn't know
We're restarting it. Now I know what 30 seconds is like. Okay. So then she flipped it back over and sort of scribbled, and we again were kind of clueless, right?
Yeah.
And then the second picture came out, and you get the first, and you get to see the first and second picture, and we sort of thought maybe that's like fire. She drew like these little circles. Are those the berries? And we sort of maybe figured something out. And then when the third picture came out, we kind of narrowed it down to like this section. And we ended up like picking the right person. And I was like, holy shit, we did it. Could we ever do that again?
Right.
And then I told you about it, and I told Ryan about it, and Natalie was like, let's try this.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, it's a perfect game. It's like a long game. We're on opposite sides of this counter at the snack bar.
Yeah.
And we loaded it up again. We said, why not? Let's try it again. And that play went really similar. Both plays went really similar, where I felt like, how did we narrow this down so close?
I was just as shocked as you. I was the victim drawing, and I was like, the fucking person.
I don't know how we got it.
Janelle was the
criminal.
The criminal
Yeah.
erasing everything I did, and I'm like, she's brutalizing perfectly what she's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like destroying my images that I'm drawing, because you have 30 seconds. That's not enough time.
Nope.
To even fucking think straight, let alone write something. You have to write it in a way where it crosses all of the things, and so if they erase, then you can still make it. But no, you can't do that. It's just and so how you guys got to the answer was, it was like, I cannot believe that worked.
It was cool. So I don't know what you guys thought about it, or have any thoughts, or?
Oh yeah,
I thought it was so fun.
I really like the game. Works really well with both kids and adults. We had Lexi, my 9-year-old, played with us that second game. And she did great as the person erasing.
Yep.
As well as helping guess in the first game. It's a really nice looking game. The art of the Where's Waldo part of it, because it's kind of like a Where's Waldo meets Mysterium kind of game, where there's like the one person giving the clues to the other person. The art on the Where's Waldo part was gorgeous.
Yeah, and 6
lush,
completely different looking scenes. Like it's not like Where's Waldo, when you flip from page to page, it looked the same. Like the art style looks the same.
And it kind of has to, but
it was right. But it was very different. Every scene was kind of cool enough.
Yeah, I liked that a lot. I thought that it made the game, like Jeff said, it was really, really difficult, because not only does the victim only have 30 30 seconds to draw, and then the criminal gets to erase half of it or more. Not only does that make it difficult, but what makes it difficult is on the Where's Waldo thing, like Jeff said, everything is everywhere all at once.
All at once.
And there's like a key thing you can denote if you are so good at it to kind of lead you into a quadrant. Oh, they drew this clam, and that only really exists on the business front of this building. So they got to be over here
if you get that
somewhere.
Quadrant, there's still like 50 people in that quadrant.
Or
You're
more.
like, which of these one
And they're all the
people
fucking
is
same.
the criminal?
So it's really crazy hard, and in what turned out to be a good way, because I had the same exact reservations as Jeff. After the first round, I was like, "This is impossible.
Right.
There's no way I'm gonna." I felt like it was on me. I was like, "I'm stupid. I'm not going to be able to figure out a way to draw to where even if they erase stuff, you can still figure something out."
Yeah.
That's what I thought was hard, but it turned out to work.
Yeah.
Right.
Worked.
So what I
Somehow
didn't
we
like.
got yours because you drew a chef's hat, thinking someone was wearing a chef's
Something
hat, but it was
else,
really a
but it
bonnet.
worked out.
But we
I
still ended up getting
I drew
it.
what I thought was a baguette.
Yeah.
That really turned out to just be like a column in the store behind him. I was like, oh my God, I thought that was a fucking baguette. You guys still got it. You still got it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's that. Okay. Anyway, I could see plays of this being impossible.
Yeah.
So-
Agreed. Or annoying, or if your group doesn't buy into it.
If the group doesn't buy into it, if the person drawing is just being like, I only drew on 3 squares and they erased them
Right.
all.
It
like,
could-
okay, that
has
could
a high
that
potential
could
of
happen.
flopping.
Yes,
For sure.
it does. That could make it miserable. It could be very difficult. It's already difficult as the drawer, as the victim,
Yeah.
to know how to utilize the space effectively so that information still gets through no matter what's erased.
Yeah.
But then you only have 30 seconds to do it, and so if you're not playing that well, it could tank that play. Luckily, it doesn't take long.
Yeah.
So you can rack it again. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I would actually be interested in picking this up.
Yeah,
To
same.
play
One of my
with kids and stuff.
one memory I have, and I'll keep is like, so Plurpy was drawing, Steven was drawing when Lexi was erasing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Plurpy was doing, I think, a good job of drawing.
Yeah.
Like if we would have seen all 9, I think we would have been able to like get it right away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
But
pretty
like
quickly.
every time Lexi is, was she 9?
Yep.
Yeah.
Takes it and it's like boo boo boo, and Plurpy's like, oh my
Yeah.
god.
He's like he's like
and she is a 9-year-old, just like hee hee hee, got you.
I remember
and
he
he's
was-
like, oh god, those are the best ones.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
like, what are you
in my head,
doing?
maybe he's thinking like, she's 9.
she's not gonna
She's
figure
gonna
this
erase
out.
these. I'm gonna
Yeah.
nail this.
He
and
even,
every
I think
time
he even
she
said
just
like,
crushed him.
I think he even said like, almost was like, should I like help her to tell her which ones are the best one? He's
Yeah.
like, no, she knew what
Fuck
to do.
that.
She knew
what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, you could see his face like, oh
Yeah,
no.
like, oh, no.
Oh God, what is she
That
doing?
was
to me?
great.
And she ended up winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she ended up winning
she
that
loved
game.
that.
Which was really good. What did you think of it, Natalie?
I liked it a lot too. I thought, same thing. I was like, maybe we should pick this up.
I looked for it. I haven't been able to find it.
Oh, really?
I think. Oh, so I know
Yeah.
for a fact I bought it on Amazon,
I
and
thought
I
I
think
saw
it was
it.
like a. I don't know if it was on a Black Friday or a Prime. They had like a Prime Day more recently that was
Yeah.
like a week. Maybe I got it then.
I'll have to look for it again. I looked for it pretty recently after Nerdfest, and I was like,
Oh,
it's
okay.
nowhere. I assumed you must have got it from a publisher or something.
Oh, I just
You just bought it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it wasn't expensive. It was like $12-15
Sure.
or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, what other games did you guys play on Sunday?
I was talking to Sam because Sam for some reason didn't take Friday off of work like a weirdo.
Yeah, come on, Sam.
So then I didn't. Like I saw her on Saturday, and we, laughed on Saturday night about phone trees and this goofy shit, and drinking a little bit on Saturday, having fun. We were like, we need to play a game on Sunday. So
Yeah.
when I got home, or maybe even Sunday morning, I texted her and was like, here's a couple choices. What are you interested in playing? And she was like, I want to play Red Cathedral. I'm like, cool. So
Right.
I had it there, and thankfully she was there before me and started to set it up, and I was like, cool.
Oh, that's cool.
And Lance and Shelly were right there, and they jumped in and played. So the 4 of us played Red Cathedral, and the game's just so good. And I think they both loved it. Lance, maybe even Shelly said that was like one of their game of the fest.
No
Wow.
shit. Did you play with the expansion?
We did not play with the expansion because
Okay.
only Sam had played before, and she said it was like a year ago. So we just played base,
Got it.
and it's just so good. And
So Shelly and Lance had not played it before?
no,
Okay.
that was their first play of it, and I think they both really liked it. And what I'll take away from that and remember about that is like when we sat down, I had played games with Sam before. I played one game with Shelly. We had met for 4 seconds at Gen Con.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Talked on the Discord. She was Geek of the Week once, right?
Yep.
And it felt like the 4 of us were like old friends playing a game together. It felt like the game group. We were joking like we joke while we play.
Yeah.
And like, we were making dick and fart jokes and laughing about what like that kind of stuff was fun, and it just felt like we've played games all the time.
Right.
But we didn't.
You're
That was
like,
like
but
our first.
I just really met
but, like,
you.
Just
this
really
week.
met you
Yeah.
and talked to you and all that kind of stuff, and it just felt comfortable, and that was a really cool feeling for like the Sunday morning, right? Like the lull, because Saturday was so pumped, and you're like, oh god, what's Sunday going to be? And it's like that was really uplifting.
Yeah.
So we played Red Cathedral's so good. You guys have to play.
Yeah, we gotta play it. It's on our
I
shelf
know,
of
we
shame.
still need to.
Yeah, we should hit that soon.
And then I made Sam stay for one more game because she was like, I'm going to leave at 11. I'm like, first of all, you didn't take fucking Friday off, and then you're going to leave at 11? What's your problem?
Yeah, come on, Sam.
You can't like your job that much. Stop it.
She's going to work on
Then we
Sunday.
played Nidavellir. So Dave had mentioned a couple weeks ago he wanted to play Nidavellir again, and I was like, sweet, let's play that. And Janelle jumped in. So it was me, Sam, Janelle, and Plurpy jumped in too. So I was like,
Nice. Wow. Yeah, you played a lot of
another
people.
cool group to play Nidavellir, and I still really like that game. There's some like little annoying things with setup and but the auction of that game is so fun, and the bidding of that game is really fun. Green team wins, like you said, with that big group. Last
Yep, that was
message,
cool.
and then I played, and we kind of played as we were sort of
Planet
tearing
Unknown.
down. We played Planet Unknown at the end of the con. With Bronwyn, which was sweet.
Yeah.
That was
Yes.
the first
It was
game
so
I got
cool
to play
to
with
see
her.
Bronwyn
Yeah, it was
in
awesome to see her.
person.
And Jason and Janelle, like I think they teamed the game because we had 6.
Oh, right.
Right, that's right.
And that game is just so fucking good. And there was a lot of
Essential,
people
baby.
playing Planet Unknown because I think
Double Exposure
brought them.
Yes.
Yeah, brought it, and that got played a lot.
A lot.
Over the weekend, and I think that had to be a lot of people's like game.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like they love.
How can you not
play.
love that fucking
I
game?
know,
That
it's
game
fun.
is so good.
So Sunday, yeah, it was another good day of gaming and gaming with people that I wanted.
How many did you get in throughout the weekend?
I'll have to look. I think it's 20 something. It's 20 something plays. I'll have to look. I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Natalie, what did you play on Sunday? Anything?
We already talked about it all. I played Planet Unknown.
Last Message.
Sort of. Last Message and Green Team wins. Like we just talked about with a big
Sure.
group of people. I'd say one of the highlights of Sunday, probably the very last thing that even happened as everybody was like leaving,
Oh, yes. Okay, I know what you're going to say.
is we look over and Jason Bobo is just pulling out an accordion.
Oh, like pulling
so
out-
what
oh.
happened? Yeah, he was pulling it out. We were all saying goodbye. It was like
Yeah.
everybody was leaving.
We
We were
took, like, a
we were
picture.
right at the back, like by the registration table,
Yeah.
right on the opposite side of the fireplace, right? And we were all like ready to leave. And all of a sudden, Janelle just goes, "Do you guys want to hear Jason play a song on his accordion?" And we were just like, "What?"
Right. Like you had this here the whole
He's
time.
got an accordion. He has an accordion.
Like, they flew here.
It seemed like we were all in a fever dream. Like I was like, "What? This might be the most random thing
I think
I've ever heard
everybody
anyone
got
say."
more excited than they've ever been. They're just like, what?
And then he pulls out the accordion, and we were just all like, "Oh my god!"
And then he mesmerized us
He-
with
we
this
were-
beautiful playing.
I can't say that any better. He mesmerized us. I had the tune that he played on his accordion in my head for the next 3 days. I could not get it out of
I
my
was
head.
sad I missed that.
Da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da. It was like, that's going to be my head now. It was so fucking awesome.
It was so random, but so
It was funny because I was
wonderful.
like, this is the most random thing he's done since he stuffed a shit ton of spinach in a smoothie. And Ta was like, that's this guy?
I know.
That's great.
I think Jason was like, he's like, it's not my fault you don't appreciate a good green smoothie. Or
And he's like, what is accordion?
Appreciate a green
Gosh, it was good.
smoothie.
So we've now determined that he needs to open and close
Perform.
every Nerdfest
Yeah.
with some accordion.
Well, I think the
That's
reason
gonna
he
be the
brought it
thing.
was he had a lesson.
He's learning it. Yeah, he's learning
and
how to
so
play.
he brought it to attend his lesson the next morning.
Right, he had like an online lesson in the morning
Right.
on Monday. And, I mean, gosh, that's so funny. So, as Sunday wound down, the fest ended. And what we're gonna do now to end this episode is we're gonna do a top 5 for the episode, and we're gonna do our top 5 takeaways from Nerdfest 2023. And this can be anything that we think, what did you enjoy? What did you wish you did more? What did you, what experiences did you take away that were,
Yeah.
So let's go Natalie, Jeff, me. So do you have, Natalie, are you ready for this? Hit
yeah,
us with your number 5.
Why don't I
takeaway.
go first?
You want to go first?
And then you two can be like the last.
Okay,
couple.
that's fine. Yeah, okay, so we'll go Jeff, Natalie, me then.
I'm not ready. Never mind. No, I'm just kidding. So I did. So I played 14 different games. I had 21 or 22 different plays. I didn't count
yeah.
it right.
Yeah.
Because Green Team Wins got played a couple times. Last Message got played a couple times.
And you don't do BG stats, right? You just log on Board Game Geek?
Yeah, I just log on.
Yeah, me
Board
too.
Game Geek.
Okay. So you don't know how many different
appreciate
people you play
doing
with.
it on BG Stats.
Yeah.
I mean, I do BG stats, but I don't record who I play with.
For an event like that, knowing who I played with, because most of the time it's like, okay, I play with Ryan,
Yeah.
Natalie, Bill, Dave, Joe, and
Right.
Devin.
Right,
That's
it's usually
it.
the same
that's
people.
It.
Yeah.
But again, I think about when, I would have loved to play like a more game with Ta, who I wanted
I
to,
know.
but we played Green Team Wins. But I got to play a lot of like sit down games with a lot of people, and that was
Yeah.
really cool. I guess I'll make that maybe my number 5.
Okay.
And just being able to see again. I said this a year ago when we did our Nerdfest wrap up of last year, to be like, wasn't it cool to see Chris and Janelle and Dan
Yeah.
Yes.
and Kim? I was like, that was so cool. And it was that feeling again so many more times. Not a better feeling than seeing Janelle for the first time, but just I got to do that 30 more times with so many different people, and to read in the Discord that like other people were becoming friends because of that was really cool.
That was
Like, they're gonna share a room. They're gonna go get dinner the night before. They're gonna go out afterwards. They're gonna like hang. And like that was just so cool to see these people that I interact with on Instagram and Discord come together, meet me, and that was just a really cool time, and play games and do what everybody's favorite hobby was together was cool. That like encompassed like 9,000 things, but yeah. So I'm gonna say meeting the people, interacting with that, playing games with a lot of people that I wanted to play games with. If I didn't get to play games with you, I'm sorry. I still wanted to play games with you, but it just didn't happen.
That's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
That's the way Nerdfest goes all the
Yep.
time. You come in, you're like, I'm going to play 437 games. You
Like,
play 3.
3, got it.
Yeah. Natalie, what about you? It's number 5.
I don't like my number 5 because I feel like every single other one is like,
I will get this out of the way, and then you have nothing
right.
but
Shitty one out of the way.
yeah, get your shit one out of the way.
my shitty one. Okay, my number 5 is
Meeting people.
Yeah. Get the shitty one out of the way.
my number 5 is the amount of walk-ins. I just did not expect that.
Christopher Walken.
No.
The
Hey,
Christopher Walken.
I'm
amount
here.
No,
Can I play a game?
the amount of people that just like walked in.
What are these,
who didn't
fellas?
register, who just heard about us that time. Just like kind of like you get to like chat with them, like, oh, you're not registered. Like, how did you, like, what made you arrive? Come here,
Right.
know,
That's
kind
not
of
a bad
thing.
one. That was cool.
And I don't know. I just got to meet. There was a lot of people that stand out and that I remember from that, specific part of
Right.
it. And I don't know. To me, when you like, I guess we didn't do like the best job because we didn't know what we were doing about like, of course we were going to allow anybody to like walk in. But in my head, I'm like, oh, you need to like register to go
Yeah.
to something. And I
Right.
wasn't going to turn anyone away, but like
In the future, we'll probably make it so you got to register.
ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I mean, you can walk in, but
it was just like really cool. Like,
But fucking register.
like
register.
my friends are here. I just heard about this, or, oh, I live in this area and somebody said, oh, you should come up here. And I did, or I was downstairs at this other thing and I like heard you guys and came up and, like all these things like that. And it was just really cool.
That's great. Number 5 for me is a specific moment. And Jeff talked about it actually a little bit earlier, but it was watching Matt Cousineau show off his baby, Kyperium, which is the game that he's designing, to Matt Riddle, and watching him get a bunch of people playing that game all weekend long, and just feeling that his insanely long drive from the Great White North was hopefully worth it to him.
Yeah.
He did tell me a couple times that he's like, I actually got a lot more benefit out of doing something like this than something bigger. He's like, I can't remember, was it PAX? I can't remember where he was that he mentioned. Maybe it was just some different convention that was bigger than Nerdfest, which is all of them. And he was like, I got so much more feedback at this convention and more people playing. And there's so much, hubbub and stuff around the game here And he was just like, it was great. It was like a dream come true. And watching him geek out, showing Matt Riddle his game, and then Matt Riddle afterward was like, "This was
Sorry
fun.
to take that. Yeah.
This was very cool. Like, I don't have any notes for you." He said that. Matt Riddle said to me after I was talking to him a little bit, and I was like, "What'd you think of Hyperion?" He's like, "Well, it's take that, which is not for me." He's like, "But I thought the design was extremely solid." He's like, "I didn't really have any design notes for him at all, other than maybe the text on these cards was a little small." He's like, "Other than that, I thought it was really well done." And I'm like, I relayed that back to Matt.
Yeah.
You could just tell he was just like, "Well,
oh, cool.
fuck." Like, damn, that's awesome, And so I thought that was really, really cool. Getting to know Matt over the last few months, or year, however long it's been since we've really known him. I don't know. But and yeah, exactly. So and it kind of represents something I haven't really touched on in this top 5, so I guess I'll say it here. Matt, Peter, Ta, Chris, Janelle, Curtis, all the people that came from out of state. Amanda, and while all those people that come from out of state, it's like, I felt like it was worth it to them.
Yeah.
And that was a fear that I have. Like, knowing, like, man, Curtis, would they come from Kentucky or...
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, like, Ta comes from Maryland.
Boston.
Right. And Peter and,
Peter's East Coast,
right. There are, like, multiple states away. Chris coming from Oklahoma. I didn't worry as much about Chris. Chris
because they
is one
came
of those
last
guys,
year, too.
and Chris is one of those guys...
he seems like he'll have a good time no matter what.
You can just fucking drop him in the middle of anywhere and he'll just make his own fun.
Right.
And I'm not saying the other guys wouldn't do that.
We just didn't know them enough to know that.
Yeah. So I worry, and it was really cool. And so Matt was kind of an example of a microcosm of a lot of these other people who came from multiple states away, that it felt like, okay, it was worth it. And that was one of the, Jeff talked about, I'm going to check off these boxes about playing games with people. Mm-hmm. That was a box mentally that I checked off in my head, like, okay, we were successful because, in part of, all these people that are coming here expecting to have a fun time did.
Yes.
And it was like, that felt really cool. So that's my number 5. Jeff, what was your number 4?
My number 4 are thoughts for next year.
Okay.
So I think, like, how does this grow? What does this look like next year?
Yep.
How international?
Yeah.
Can we get out of North America?
Yeah.
Does someone
Can we get a swoozle or a Jim Gamer to drop in?
Can he swoozle himself here in America?
Yeah, come on, Osgore.
I also think about, how does the space grow?
Yep.
If we went with, we don't have an exact number, but, 100 and something people signed up. We ran out of 200 lanyards or 150 lanyards. There's 100 plus pins that got run. So, like,
I mean, Saturday alone, there was how many people? We didn't keep tally, but there was. I mean, it was pretty much full.
So do we think we had 200 total people and probably on Saturday 150 in the hall? At the same time,
something like that.
So
yeah,
if it gets 300. We can't be in that place.
Can't be there.
No.
So do we get maybe upstairs, downstairs? Is there another?
They told us that the lady who we rented the hall from, she told us, she's like,
great.
Next year you should do it on a day where nobody has the downstairs, and then you can have both.
Yeah.
If we want to stay there.
If we want to stay there.
Right.
I know she really wanted us to. She liked it.
I know. The reason that... So I initially looked... Before I even looked at VFW halls, I looked at like convention
Hotels.
place and hotels.
they're like $1 billion.
Oh my gosh.
It was a lot of money, but we couldn't do it because we were like, it's free.
We're paying it out of pocket.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now that we know that people will come to this, I heard a ton of people tell me I would gladly pay for a ticket. Like, it was shocking to me that this is free, So we could get away with potentially getting a bigger space.
$10 or $20.
We pay $20 is not a big undertaking for 3 days, especially if you're attached to a hotel. You don't got to drive anywhere. You just walk down from your room and you're right in the space that you can play games. The hotel staff is taking care of a lot of the stuff that you have, and we can lean on that. It's a little bit more of like a you're concerned with, am I going to lose big because you don't have the people buying the tickets yet,
right?
But
because you don't have them buying the tickets till you already have a place to have it,
right?
And so there's a big risk.
There's a risk there.
So we got to kind of assess some things.
But I agree with you.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, is the upstairs downstairs what we do for next year,
well,
and then eventually, if that works out, then we grow into a bigger space.
Because another thing about the VFW hall, because we looked at another hall that's kind of around here. That's like that's pretty nice. But
the hours,
yeah, they had limited hours. You couldn't bring in alcohol. Like the VFW place was so flexible with us that we kind of just like do whatever we wanted.
They just let us do anything.
Yeah.
We could,
so like,
yeah.
I
like,
can
bring
see
in alcohol?
going
They're like,
somewhere
we're not
else.
supposed
It's
to, but-
nicer and stuff. But, you know, there's going to be more restrictions too. So we got to like weigh all of our options.
True.
So yeah, that was kind of my takeaway is, all right, what's the next?
Yeah, how do we make it?
thing?
How do we make it
Yeah.
better?
Yeah.
How do we even make it better somehow?
Exactly.
That was my number.
Yeah, awesome. All right, now what about you?
Oh, my number 4, huh? Okay. So
You hate this one too?
You gotta do it.
no, I don't hate it. My number 4 is how I was shocked how smoothly everything went. Is it yours?
Yes, that's my
I was
number 4.
gonna
My surprise at how it all worked.
Yeah, how smoothly everything went and how much incredible amount of like support we had for it. I kept saying it over and over again. I was like, everything's going perfectly. Like, I don't want to jinx it, but like nothing is going wrong. Everything's going perfect. Everything's just working out exactly how it should. How did this happen?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even want to, I couldn't even take credit for like, oh, we just planned it that way. Because we didn't. I just went in like,
I planned for it to be a failure.
right. It was more just like, I hope I thought
just
of enough
slapped a bunch
stuff
of
to
stuff
make
together,
this okay.
and it just happened
And it
to
just
work.
like went,
Well, we're going to fuse together
Yeah,
here
go
on this
ahead.
one
You
because I said the same shit.
contribute.
My surprise out over everything we did just kind of worked out perfectly.
yeah.
Like the bathroom was great all weekend. Again, I was terrified. Like there's one bathroom. Remember when me and
Yeah.
Jeff went to Gen Con
Like, it
for the
smelled a handful of
secret
times, but it was fine,
for the secret cabal meetup at this bar, and the bathroom broke in the first hour. And
that was
there was like 100 people there,
stupid.
Yeah.
right? So I was like terrified something like that was going to happen. All the events went off perfectly.
Yeah,
People were
even
there
when-
on time. They ran.
Right.
We never ran out of
sometimes there
table
was events
space.
where like, oh no, this person signed up, but they didn't come to the convention.
We just figured
and I
out people to get.
immediately was like, okay, I'll find someone else.
Yeah,
I'm like, hey,
someone's
you
like,
want to be
"I'll
part
do
of this? Okay. And it was like so easy because I was like so worried about that. I'm like, oh, we're gonna have to like fill out these events, or some people signed up for ones that it's gonna overlap. So what are we gonna do? It all just worked out
worked out.
perfectly.
We had plenty of food. The signs did their job. There was tons of games. The little signs we made, did the job. The Tumble
got
Dice
the
tournament
little
was fucking ridiculously perfect. It all just went smooth and perfectly. And that was one of the things that Natalie and I halfway through were just kind of like, it's kind of just, we don't even really have to.
It's like running itself.
There's running itself. There's no problem. And I said that earlier in this episode that I was terrified that there was going to be just nothing but fires to put out, and there just wasn't.
Right.
At all. The biggest problem was we ran out of double XL T-shirts to sell.
right.
Right? A lot of people were asking for those,
Yeah,
and we were
that's a
like,
lesson
darn,
for
we
next
don't
year.
have any.
Yeah.
But that was like the biggest it was crazy. Jeff, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is just kind of a memory that I'll remember, because it's a memory, I guess. You forget memories?
Yes.
Oh.
You
Would it be
forget
called a memory if they're gone?
I didn't
memories the only
remember
thing
this
you-
memory.
Anyway.
No, you're right.
On Saturday night, I wasn't surprised in the moment, but I was surprised during the weekend that a couple of my former students showed up
That was so cool.
on Saturday.
That was a
and
cool
That's really
they
cool.
were basically the reason why the board game club started at school. They were in that initial group. They got me that like wooden meeple and signed it, and have really carried board games to their friends into college. They will like text me and like, oh, we're playing Avalon, and reminds me of board game club. So it was very cool that they were
Did you
there.
get to play anything with them?
I did not. I retaught them Avalon because 2 of them hadn't played, so I taught them that. And then I played Green Team Wins next to them, so we were kind of like joking and
So they stayed for
whatever.
a while.
Yeah, they stayed for a couple games, and then they went and like got a drink at the bar downstairs and came upstairs, which is crazy. I'm like, how old are you? I'm
Yeah,
like,
what are you, you're
21?
drinking? Holy
They're like, I
shit.
think we're 22 or 3 or whatever.
I
they are
think we're
now.
22.
Well, I remember that. I'm like,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
you are. I'm like, well, if you want to go downstairs and have a drink, and so they like hung out, and it was just cool. One of the I probably should take that. One of the former students won one of the. Didn't he win Dominion? He won. I think he won one of the.
Oh, really?
One of the,
okay.
the charity.
the
games,
charity
right?
auction
Yeah, the
games?
charity-
Oh, wow, okay.
Because he was like he had played Dominion with.
I met that guy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
At
so he's got it.
Board Game Club, and he played that there, and he's like, I remember loving this game, so I wanted to.
No,
Oh, that's
it was
so
just-
cool.
It was just cool to see them and kind of like flash back to when I was able to introduce it to them, and they showed up to this thing. So it
Very
was really
cool.
cool. So that was
That's
my number 3.
that is cool. I'm glad you put that on there because I remember when
Yeah.
they showed up. I was kind of you and me were talking when they showed up.
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, that's so sweet.
was
This
cool.
is the group. Natalie, what about you? What's your number 3?
All right, so my number 3. Gosh, I feel like mine all just
Twister.
like blend together. No,
Yeah.
I don't have like exact specific
That's fine.
moments necessarily.
Ugh.
To me, my number 3, I guess I would say, is the entire just vibe of the fest. It was so full of like positivity. Damn it.
Oh, here she goes. I know. She's crying.
It's so full of positivity, and like it's like we say it. You hope that it turns out a certain way. You have a certain vision in your head of how it's going to be, and it was like so much better than I even could imagine. And the fact that everybody, like, I thought it was going really well, and I thought the vibe was what I hoped, but the fact that like 1 million people gave us feedback and told us
So many people.
what, you know, confirmed and validated that, it was like, it was just, it felt amazing.
Mind-blowing validation session.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So it happened to both of us a lot. We were just like, oh my God, you're going to make me cry.
know.
Number 3 for me is this is a thing now. Right? Nerdfest in our group of friends was always a thing. And we were all terrified that, are anyone going to show up to this? And so many people showed up to it that I think it's been legitimized.
Yeah.
It feels like.
It feels like they're all like,
it's a tried
this
and
is it.
true
Like,
thing.
I'm
that-
coming back.
Yeah, I couldn't believe everyone talked about doing it next year. I kept hearing people say, "Man, it's just good to be back gaming in person." A lot of people said that. This is really the first event I've gone to that reminds me of what it was like before something like COVID closed everything down.
Right.
You know, and so I heard that sentiment from a lot of different people that they were just happy. Matt Riddle was one of them. That guy that came from the Gamma, he was another one that was like,
right.
man, it's just so great to be back gaming. And what a great, con to do that. What a perfect intro to us getting gaming back again. And so all those people that came and helped, every single one of you listening who were there that showed up and played games and just participated, you helped make this a thing now. And it is legitimately a thing now.
Yeah.
Nerdfest is going to be, I think, like Jamie Dagger said, she was just like, I'm going to come next year and bring all the idiots I know. Like, we're all going to be here.
Yeah.
There was so many people that came and just made it. And because of you, it's a thing. And so my number 3 is just like hitting me like, wow, this isn't just like, okay, we threw this party, it's over. It's like, we now created this event that's hopefully going to just exist going forward.
Right.
Jeff, we're on number 2.
All right. My 2 and 1 have been taken, so I'm just going to say my 2
Yep,
and 1
say
right
'em.
now,
Let's
and then the
fucking say
2 of
'em.
you can
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
cry at your 2 and 1. Now,
Yep, I will.
so my number 2 was I called it the Nerdfest / Gamecasters crowd is different.
Yes.
Because of all the things Natalie said, because of how welcoming it was, and it brings me back, and I don't know if this might be, I don't know if you said, there was someone that showed up to our floor and was like, hey, I'm here. And we were like, okay, who the hell are you?
Oh, right. I didn't
And
talk
then
about
went
this guy.
downstairs to the Oakland County Gamers.
Yeah, because he was
where
like,
he was
I'm in
supposed
the
to be.
wrong. Oh, I'm in the wrong
He
spot.
signed up for Oakland County Gamers and wanted to be there, and then came right back upstairs and was like, I don't want to go down there.
Yep.
Because of the way that we are. And it felt friendly. It felt welcoming. It felt like it was friends together playing games, enjoying. And it was just the crowd that was at Nerdfest / our community, and I say our community as in like Gamecasters community,
Right.
is different than other things.
Right?
Yeah.
And that was cool.
Don't they feel different? They feel like they're us. Like
Yeah.
like
Like we're
there's
all-
a reason that we all felt like instant friends, and that like everybody who like have talked and stuff online and never met in person instantly felt like they were just getting back together with old friends. It's because like we all have this we're all very similar, and they've been brought together by like us, I guess. And
Well, and then
Yeah.
also bringing other
That's like
people
what a
in.
feeling
Like,
that is.
yeah.
David, I don't know. You sit down and play.
Yeah.
Alan, you said you needed a player. You're playing this game. Like,
Right.
come over here and sit with us
Yeah.
and play. And then my number 1 is the talk about, and I put in quotes, next year, which to Ryan's point was like there will be a next year.
Yeah.
All
There's
the
a
people
want
left
for it.
Next year,
Yeah.
when
all the people talked about,
Yeah.
I can't wait for next year, or next year I'm going to bring this. Next
Yeah.
year I'm going to bring my idiot friends. Next year
Right.
I'm going to
Yeah.
bring this, and that is something that I wrote down that the two of you should be extremely proud of. Like as this event started
man.
to happen in June, I remember you called me or texted me or whatever. I was actually in the ICU with my daughter. And
Right.
you called me
Oh,
and told me that
wow.
it was going to be in the hall.
Yeah.
And I was like, not what I'm thinking about right now. But I'm like,
Yeah.
this is cool. Let's,
Yeah.
roll with
Yeah,
it, right?
sounds good.
And so then there are bumps and complaints and stupid shit along the way.
Right.
And the thought in the back of all of our brains was, God, it's just going to be 10 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be 10
Right.
of us.
I was like,
and even
Right.
on Wednesday,
Why are we doing this?
Even
What
when
are
I'm
we
packing
doing?
up boxes and labeling them, like, it could be 10 of us.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. And that everybody showed up and said, next year is something I think the two of you should be really proud of. And
Thank you.
so that's my 2 and 1 done.
I know.
So Natalie
It's such a hard time.
and yeah, so that
No,
was 2
you're right.
and 1, which was basically your number 3.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure.
Yep.
All right. That was awesome. Nelly, what about you? Number 2.
Okay, I don't hate me, but I'm just gonna fucking do this because it's my number 2.
I don't give a shit. Do whatever you want.
My number 2
I hate you. Yeah,
is
I hate you.
the people and the feedback, and I just started making
Peopleverse.
a list of notable people that I kind of wanted to
Notables,
mention, and
okay.
I'll go really fast, but I feel like I have to
Do it.
There was so freaking many. So
How did you get everybody? I want to apologize up front. Like, if we missed you,
yeah,
and like,
I'm sure I have
Right.
a list of
There's so-
50 people,
we
and
love
I'm
you, I
sure I
promise.
forgot some.
I'll try to fill in any gaps.
So I'll just be quick. Shelly, Lance, and Sean. We met Shelly and Lance a couple times, and we know they're awesome. They brought their friend Sean, who fit right in and blew us away with some awesome feedback
no
afterwards.
Discord?
fucking clue who we were at all.
Right.
You had no idea.
I know.
I was like, who's this guy, Sean?
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know who you are either. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, because he just listened to the show a couple times before,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
he had no idea who we
Yes.
were.
He
had no idea.
But he was amazing.
He was
Yes.
great. Yeah,
no,
he was
you're fine.
really
You can jump
cool.
in. Lance, the like I said, the permanent smile on his face when they were playing tumbling dice,
Lance
when he
is
kept
so
beating
cool.
everybody with Patty. Shelly was like a winning machine.
Yeah, is.
Ben and Em are really good friends of ours. They were amazing. I had so much fun watching them play with our IRL friends and Gamecasters friends, and seeing them mingling and having a blast. And Drunk Emily was insanely entertaining.
Saturday, Drunk Emily was amazing.
out of
That was where this
control.
phone tree conversation came in with
She was
Sam and
out
it was
of
amazing.
She
control.
was.
It was
Ben's
so-
excitement over a baby was the most adorable thing ever. Sam, Miss French Toast, I want to thank you so much for your help with stepping in at the snack counter. And I loved seeing you make friends and finally have a game weekend that you've been craving. Amanda and Wally and Clara.
Little Clara.
Clara's
We
a
love
lover.
Amanda and Wally. We've hung out with them a bunch of times now, and they're just the sweetest, kindest people. I was so proud of Wally for trying D&D one shot, and so happy that he had fun. Baby Clara was the best baby. She was so cute and sweet, and I felt like it was just like Emily had mentioned on their podcast, the entire room just took over as needed. Amanda and Wally, they
got a
just
trophy.
handled this baby
Yeah,
expert
she did.
parents, just oh, she needs to sleep, set her in the back, gotta feed her, gotta do this. Oh, someone wants to hold her. Oh, it was just I can't imagine bringing a 3-month-old baby to this thing, and it was just went so well for them somehow.
They
It was
didn't- Amanda
so
was just
funny.
whatever, it's fine.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. Steven Plurpy, it was such a pleasure to meet him. He was so kind and sweet and chill, and he just again instantly was one of us. He offered to help.
One of us.
At the end of when we were breaking things down, and he was just he was just such a good guy. Same with Ty. I feel like I can say the exact same things about him. I felt like he was a fairly new listener and Discord participant, and was extremely surprised that he was willing to fly here by himself from Boston. But I'm so glad that he
Completely agree.
did. He was he was
Amazing.
so fun
Great.
and appreciative. And one thing he said to me that really stood out was that he had more fun at Nerdfest than any big con he went to. And when he said, I was I'm gonna cry right now. I almost
Yeah,
lost it
that's
in the
cool.
middle of
Stuff
the floor. Chris was back for his second Nerdfest. Chris Wilson, he was kind enough to run a couple events. He was all over the place playing games with everybody. He took one of my favorite pictures at the end of the last night, so that was really cool. The Bobos and Bronwyn, we already know they're great
The
people.
Bobos and Bronwyn.
Bobos and
Yeah,
Bronwyn.
Jason, Janelle,
cool
and Bronwyn. We already knew how amazing Janelle and Jason are, and I'm so happy they were here. And they brought Bronwyn, who we finally got to meet, which was also so cool. Like, I felt like I already knew her because we've played games with her so many times online and played Among Us and talked to her.
Yep.
And when they all like left on Sunday, I was just like instantly like sad, like, oh, I didn't get to spend
we're
enough
not gonna
time
see
with
them
you when
anymore.
you're going,
Yeah.
you know. And then obviously Jason gave us one of the most memorable moments with his accordion. On Saturday, Michael Vanoy, another person who just drove
that's
4
right, Michael
hours
Vanoy.
by himself
Representing
to just
the
hang
snobs.
out
Heck
with
yeah,
us.
he was. Yeah,
You know, he was my
wear our
secret
shirt,
Santa.
man.
Yeah.
Like, I had him. I
Yeah.
bought him games, and he was like, again, I'm going to
Yeah.
say it a million times, but so kind and so awesome, and just like, again, one of us.
Yep.
None of us.
We already kind of talked about Matt Riddle and Adam Hill and
Yeah,
Ben
fuck them.
Yeah,
Pinchback.
fuck this.
The measles might be
cool, you're
most
signing boxes
grateful
way off.
to
That's
those
games.
two, you know, for all of their
Yes.
help over the weekend. They stepped in
Right.
every time
Them
we
and
needed a
Sam
hand.
especially were just
They
like,
brought in the coffee machine. They gave us ideas for the 50-50 raffle. Like, I feel like we owe them.
we do. They were like, take Maisie and run Maisie around and get
and have her ask people to donate
and
to the
that
50-50.
was the most
and we
lucrative thing.
quadrupled them.
I told Joe and Jen, I'm like, you guys, I completely exploited your daughter for our own financial
Hey,
gain.
it worked.
It helped recoup some costs, so thank you, Maisie.
Peter, after all these years, we finally got to meet Peter.
Great.
Peter. Oh
And
my
he was
God,
just like
Peter was
just as
so
awesome in
great.
person as we imagined.
I feel like every time I was around Peter, I was just hugging him.
I used to get
We
a
were
big
just
hug,
like
I know.
hugging the
Come
whole
here, man.
time.
I know I've never hugged more people in my entire
Yeah,
life than I did
yeah.
like that weekend. Another really cool thing was the very first person in the door at 9:01 a.m. on Saturday was this girl named Jen, who we had never met before and never heard of. She has a
Never heard of you.
She has
What are you, a person?
she streams, right? There's
Oh
a
yes,
YouTube channel.
Jen Cam plays games or plays board games. Something like
Yeah, and she like walked in, and since like there was hardly anybody there yet because she was like the first one in, I got to like chat with her, you know, and she heard about us through Jamie, the
Right,
painter.
that's right.
And so she, you know, signed up for the painting class, and she had never heard of us, and she just kind of showed up, and she was, like I said, the first one there on Saturday, and she stayed all day.
I think it was her
night.
first ever convention.
Yeah, she stayed. She was there the whole time.
The whole
Then
day,
she comes
yep.
back on Sunday, and you know, even on Sunday, she was like, "I was listening to you guys the whole way home, and then my whole drive here, and you know, like, have kind of like a new fan." And she's like in our Discord now, and she was just like super cool, you know. And again, she was like not somebody like who had ever heard of us.
No.
Or, you know,
Yeah.
she just happened upon us.
Right.
Jamie
A
Daggers,
new friend.
and Rachel. They're some of like the nicest people. I felt like the painting classes were a huge success,
Yes,
and we heard
they
nothing
were a
but
big
great
hit,
things
yeah.
about them.
Lance is now, I think, taking up painting.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah.
And then Nate, who was selling the Fat Baby hot sauce, he might have been like the nicest guy I've ever met.
He was
Like,
so
what a
nice. He
freaking
kept
nice
giving me
guy.
bottles of sauce.
And it was like the cutest thing
I
ever.
can
He
use on
came
my
up to me
enemies.
at one point and said he was like, "I was only going to stay for Saturday, but I'm having such a nice time, and the people are so nice. I'm going to come back tomorrow too." And I was like, "Aw."
He probably sounded like that too.
Yeah, he
know.
did. He was like,
He was
Yeah,
that
he was
guy
really
was
happy.
He was
awesome.
very
Very
sweet.
cool.
What a nice guy he was.
I mean, we already talked a lot about Eddie, but man, he was an integral part of this entire thing with his
Oh,
gaming library.
he was the catalyst for
Yeah.
a lot of it.
Right. He even just made a Gamecasters essential shelf at their store.
How cool is that?
that's very
Our
cool.
games
How freaking
in the
cool.
Upkeep, Ann Arbor anyway, have our Gamecasters stickers, which shout out to Ta. He was kind of the catalyst
his
of that.
idea.
He was like, hey, get some stickers. I was
He
like, all
messaged
right.
me.
Ryan's
He's
like, "Let's do it."
When am I getting my stickers?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
told him I was going to steal some
Oh,
tonight.
totally.
For
Oh
me
yeah,
to send him.
I'm going to give you some. You can send them to him.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks, Todd, for that.
They're-
Now we have our Gamecasters Essential stickers on boxes on a dedicated shelf in a game store.
Cool.
It's like
It's all happening.
dreams are coming
It's
true.
happening.
Yeah.
Matt Lesniak, he is a friend of Joe's, right?
Yeah.
From high school.
I mean, he's our
I can
friend,
be
but
his
yeah,
friend.
he's
Okay,
our friend.
but the reason I wanted to
But yeah,
mention
Sorry, man. You
him
have to be.
is because I felt like he had like an entire corner of the
did.
convention where he just kept bringing in people.
And he
That
ran a cool
was
D&D thing. It was very cool.
Awesome.
I know.
And let me tell a real quick story about this.
Okay.
So Matt's wife.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the story that I want to tell about her. All right. So I'm getting a banner printed for Nerdfest, and I just Googled like local print shops in my area, and there was a print shop like right down the road. Right. And I'm dealing with this woman just over email. Her name's Amy. And I'm just like emailing her back and forth, and blah 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 blah. I'm like, okay, I'm like, here's what I want, and she's like, here's this, and I think I was even kind of being a little bitch Because I was like, this person hasn't emailed me back in like a day. We gotta get this done. So I'm like, I wasn't being like curt or mean, but I was kind of like, so what's going on? Are we doing this? And then she emails back. She's like, oh yeah, they're being nothing but sweet. And so finally she's like, okay, it's ready. Come pick it up. And so I come pick it up, and me and Natalie walk into the store, and there's a woman behind the counter, and in my head I'm like, I know her. I know who this is. We're going to get in the car, and I'm going to be like, Natalie, I think I knew her. But it's all happening in my head. And so she's like showing me the banner, and she's like, here's the banner and everything, and this is really cool. And I'm like, yeah, wow, this looks so great. And she's like, thanks. And she's like, by the way, me and Matt will probably see you on Saturday. And I'm like, are you Amy Kavanaugh? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, what?
She's like, I thought it was so funny that I'm making this poster for this thing we're going to be at. And we're like, what?
She's like, didn't Joe send you to me? And I'm like, no.
No,
I just
did.
Googled your print shop, and you showed up. It was so cool. And they were there the whole fucking time.
They brought their like adorable daughter, Jovi.
Jovi was so cool. They like closed the place down with us, and like you said, they brought a ton of people. And that was so awesome. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
keep going.
no problem. I mean, another like shout out to all the Madigans, especially Joe and Jen and their daughters, who like helped us out a ton with like the registration and the snack counter.
That's why you have so many kids. You
the
get
50-50.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
That was super awesome.
That was amazing.
It was cool to have Eric Sandbridge there, and he cool. Actually offered next year to help us work on a better way to handle registration and all that stuff. So I'm really appreciative of that.
So awesome to see Eric.
There's these, I think we mentioned them, these couple guys, Grant and Brett, who were from Kalamazoo, and they just drove over here. And like, I don't know why they stood out to me, but they just...
Where did they come from, and how did they know us?
I have no idea.
Know. But like they
Who's
were
your daddy, and what did he do?
They were just
I
super...
was not at registration when they showed up. Must have been you.
I was.
So I didn't get their story.
All right.
I don't remember.
Man, who cares?
All I remember is I forgot we somehow didn't print their badge even though they registered, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna go home tonight and print the real one for you. And they're like, it's fine.
Yeah,
but like they were just so
give a fuck.
They were just so cool and chill and like. I don't know. They were just like really nice guys. The McCowns, Dave and Patty. Patty won the Tumble and Dice.
Of course she did.
Of course she did.
Frost even because she
won
never
3 tickets to Nerdfest next year.
Yes.
Dave, God, she wins everything.
Dave ran a few events, which I think
they went off
really successful.
Yep.
Everyone loved
Kuzno,
those.
obviously, we talked about him a bunch, bringing his game Kyperium and all that. There was like, there's like these other like random people like that I didn't know. Like there was this one guy I told you about him. His name was Ethan. I don't know why he stands out to me, but he was just like this young guy who like walks in. It was like 8 p.m. on Friday, and he was like, yeah, we were at home playing games, and I thought, well, maybe we should just come up here and play games. And I'm just like, okay, cool.
Okay.
And then he came the rest of the entire con.
Gross.
And he was just like, I mean, he was just one of those like guys. He was just so nice and into everything and appreciative. Like when they like left and walked out the door the last day, he was just like, thank you, for doing this. Like it was so fun. And I'm like, I don't even know you, but like this is the greatest feeling. There was these two guys. I call them the Jasons.
Yeah. Yeah, they have a YouTube channel. Right, they're in our Discord.
And they like walk in and they're like, yeah, we listen to your podcast. And it's just like, you do? Like, oh, okay. And
they were great.
There's like other couple of guys they're both named Mark, the one you talked about who goes to like conventions.
Yeah, the Marks and the
There was
Jasons.
another Mark guy who was just like, I felt like everywhere too. David McGregor, who we didn't even mention.
Right.
And his
Marissa.
wife. Oh my God. They were like,
they were so fucking nice. They just gave us a shit ton of games.
Donated a bunch of games. They were like the nicest people.
Check out their podcast too. They have a good podcast.
So cool.
Okay. I will.
I couldn't remember his name, but now I remember. I wrote the VFW vet, but I think his name was Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think his name
He was like so great.
So he's another one that after he was like, I painted a mini, and he was like so excited about it.
What stood out to me is like, okay, so the perimeter of this room we had was all windows. Well, at night it got dark and the lighting was not very good and it was really dim in some spots. So I didn't even know till the next day, but he like took it upon himself to like change the light bulbs to like make it better for everybody the next day. And I was like, you didn't even
ask us. What the fuck, man?
No, but like we talked to like Pam.
My light bulbs.
Yeah. We talked to Pam about it, but I was just like, wow, that's so cool. I didn't even think to do that.
That is
he just
really,
like
really
did
nice.
that.
God, that's cool.
Heather and Dennis, they are friends of Andrew and Cheyenne. Our friends, they would talk about them all the time, that they were like their other gamer friends, and we finally got to meet them, and it was like really funny because at one point I'm talking to Andrew and Cheyenne and Heather and Dennis, and Andrew and Cheyenne like don't really listen to our podcast, even like they're our friends.
Heather and Dennis do.
So we were like talking about all this stuff on the podcast, and Cheyenne's kind of just like a blank look, like, what are you guys talking about? And
Good,
Heather like
conversation,
explains it, like, you know, she's like, oh well, this happened and this happened, because like they listened to us, and I was like, wow, that's really
Heather
cool.
told me that when she showed up, she's like, I showed up, and she's like, I heard Jeff
before I saw
him. She's like,
Yeah.
that's
That's
Jeff.
cool.
I hear his voice. I know that's Jeff. Like, oh my God.
That's cool.
Yeah. They were so nice.
Yeah,
they were so nice.
And Curtis and Joanna, we've talked about them a bunch, but again, so nice. Ash and Misty, I remember they walked in and I was like, Ash and Misty are here. And then they wrote about that specific thing in like a post on Instagram.
In their Instagram post,
and I was
right.
like, they're like, it was so warm and welcoming and felt good to hear that. And I was like, I said that. Like, I was like, I'm glad that I made them feel welcome.
Yeah.
You know, and like that was so cool. Eric
Right.
Nelson was the guy who works with Jeff.
Yeah, I work with
He
Eric,
was
and
like
he was
super
very
great
excited
and
to
there the whole time.
show
Oh,
up. Yeah.
That guy's
that's what I
great.
got.
Yeah, he was
for
there
the
a
people.
long time. He was like
I just had to
all
like
day
run.
Saturday and a little bit on
Yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a guy.
I just wanted to run through. I just felt like there's so many
What's
notable
funny about
people, and
Eric-
there's even more that I'm sure I forgot.
Eric Nelson's his name.
Yeah.
What's funny about him, so there's a little thing about the charity auction we had. There was 2 games specifically. Everdell, the collector's edition, which also, that was a donation from Eddie at the Upkeep.
Yes.
And the Upkeep.
That's a huge
The
one.
giant.
What
That's
a
the
great
everything.
That was
Kickstarter
the
thing
and that was
huge.
the like darling of the everyone wanted that, right?
Yeah.
And so Eric and Matt Lesniak were in like a bidding war for that,
Yeah, that was-
and I think the Cthulhu Death May Die
Yep.
stuff.
Yeah.
And so what's funny is I knew that throughout the whole weekend. He was talking about it. Eric kept coming over. He's like, "Who's this asshole? Like he's outbidding me." And he was laughing, you know. And Matt would say similar things. And I was talking to Eric at one point, and he's like, "You know, I'm actually gonna." He's like, "I have something to do tonight. I'm gonna stop by at this local place around here called the drafting table." And I was like, "Oh, you know what's funny about the drafting table?" I was like, "The guy you've been bidding on." Or a bidding war against works there, and he's there tonight working. So you can leave here.
Matt works there?
Matt works the drafting table.
Really?
He's like, you can leave here, go to the drafting table, and then bullshit with him about how he's. And he's like, oh, that's so funny. He did that.
Yeah.
So he went there, and Matt told me later. He's like, yeah, he came up and busted my balls a little bit, and we were just
funny.
goofing around. So that's really cool.
They each
Stuff
won.
like
They
that.
each won.
They each
a
won
game.
a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eric got
Which were the
Everdell.
two
and
big games.
Matt
The most
got
expensive ones.
Cthulhu Death May Die.
I
Yep.
apologize, but it's your turn.
I don't know how I'm going to top that.
I'm sorry.
No,
I even have another
I
thing.
should have had you end with that. So what I was going to say, I'm going to go quickly. My number 2 was my love for hosting the party and making it fun for everybody, trumping my desire to play games there.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of people were like, you know, what I want for you next year is to play more games. And I was like, you know, that didn't bother me at all. What I wish that I would have done this year more is interact with more people.
too.
I wish I would have just gone around the room
Yeah.
and just like sat down and just
Chatted.
talked and chatted
Yes, I agree.
more.
That was like my
but-
only regret.
But my brain, I don't even know how to explain it to you, but my brain was not in game mode.
Yeah.
So whenever even I played a game, I wasn't even there. I was like,
Yeah.
Right.
I was
Same.
off doing 100 other things in
Right.
my head. And
Is
I was
this being
like,
taken care of? What's going on
yeah,
over here?
like, oh my God. Like I played a game of Batman Love Letter with Jovi and Matt and Bill. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. But the entire time I was just like
You're just
constantly like
looking over
looking
your
around.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking everywhere. Like, oh, who needs something? Like, this is my thing. I got to make sure everyone's got, I can't
Yeah.
just be playing games all the time. And I loved that. I
You're right.
loved the hosting part. I loved sitting at registration. Like some people like Jenna Comer, she'd be like, no, go off and do it. I'm like, no, I want to sit here and meet every single person that comes in. I really want to. I want to work the snack counter and
Yeah.
see people come up. Like I had so much fun doing that. I didn't think I would. I was kind of like, God, this is going to be a lot of work. When I was there doing it, I
didn't feel like work. It was just
no,
fun.
it didn't feel like
Yeah.
work. It felt like we talk about this whole time. Like I'm putting this event on, and I'm just making it. In my opinion, I'm making it better by being the one who's in front of it all.
Right.
I feel like I should be the person meeting everybody.
Right.
I'm doing this right. So, and all right. So then, what's your number 1? If your number 2 was that, because my number 1, I'm going to let you end it. My number
Okay.
1 was the support that we got from literally every single person I interacted with. Right. I'll call out Jeff first. So we were like in the back, and Jeff's like, "Listen, why don't you Like, I got this. Just go fucking lay down in the car for 20 minutes. Just go take a fucking nap. Right? Or you're just like, I'm going to go get Taco Bell. I'm going to bring you back some food. That was, it was like, that's what we needed the most was like, we're running around. Like, just get us, like, if you can just help us with that. And then, so we already talked about the measles and Sam, who was just did whatever. Like, she could just tell that, oh, someone's at the fucking snack counter. I'm just going to go back there and take care of it. Right?
Yeah.
Or Ta and Wally and Plurpy specifically, and Steven and the Bobos at the end on Sunday. Todd just comes to me. He's like, put me to work. What do you want me to do? And Plurpy, what do I need to do? Right? And Wally's just like, listen, I'm here. Like I'm going to break down tables. Is that what you're going to do? Because people saw me breaking down tables and like, all right, he needs to break down tables. We're going to just break down tables with him. And they just started doing that. And I felt bad for a lot of people that were asking because I didn't have a task for them immediately because in my head, I'm like, I don't know. I don't have an itemized list of what I just know right now, I'm doing this.
Right.
But like, they were all just, it wasn't even a question. I didn't even have to ask any of them. You know what I mean? They were just like,
and we never would have asked them.
No, never would have. I would have done it all myself.
Right.
With you. I would have just done it all. And I wouldn't have grumbled or been upset at all.
Yeah.
Like, I would just change the garbage and just do that.
Exactly.
That's what I'm doing.
Right.
But yeah, all of them were just like, well, put me to work. Jen and Joe, put us to work.
Jen's like, okay, what do you need me to take to your car?
Now what? And I'm like, I don't know. And that was overwhelming in itself because of that support on that end. And then there was the other thing of where Natalie talked about and Jeff talked about where people would just come up to you and just be like, this was so much fun. I had an absolute blast. Thank you for putting it on. That Mark guy especially, he must have thanked me like 5 times. He said, I just can't thank you enough for this. This is so much fun. Or that one guy we talked about before the show started, I don't know his name, the guy that was just really, really happy. He must have just thanked me over and over, like, wow, thank you so much. Keith from Double Exposure was really cool, showing people a bunch of games and all that stuff. He said he got 3 new interest in envoys to go demo games at other conventions, and how cool is that? And then, also the normal group of friends that were also there playing games and everything. It was just like everyone was folded in together, and it was fucking incredible. So go ahead and end it off, Natalie. What's your number one?
Okay, my number one is that I had this, I don't even know how to explain it, but I had this intense feeling that I've literally never felt before in my life. And it was like sort of like a overwhelming, like fulfilling feeling. It's like a feeling of accomplishment and joy, and that we were just able to take this like this humble idea and get so much more out of it than we could ever imagine. Like, we were driving home on Sunday after it was all over, and I was just like bawling my eyes out because I'm like, I'm just so overwhelmed with this feeling that I can't even describe, but I've never felt it before. Like this I imagine, I'm not saying like I'm not a person who like helps people, but like
Listen, I usually fucking hate
everyone.
Like, people suck.
Do it on your own, fuckers.
I don't want to
But you know
help
how
them.
like everybody says like, like the best feeling is to like give back and like
You're always like, no way, give to me.
And now, like, I've gone 36 years without doing that.
I'm not saying I don't
And
do
maybe
that.
those people are right.
But like I feel like this is like I imagine that this is what like they're talking about.
These really nice people might be right. They might be.
My selfish ass is maybe.
I don't think I'm selfish, but
I know.
I'll admit I've never like volunteered at a soup kitchen or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I imagine like that's what that feeling is like. And like
Listen, putting this on is like working at a soup kitchen.
And I was just like crying.
I have basically just discovered the cure for cancer. Me.
But I was crying because I was like, I was like, I've never felt this before, and it was so intense, and it felt so good that we were able to provide this entire weekend of like joy and fun, and like,
Yep.
it wasn't even just like, oh, everybody had fun at my party. You know what I mean? It was just like so much more than that. It's hard to put in words.
Yeah.
And like, we were talking about so many people just came up to us and thanked us that I was just like speechless. Like, I don't even know what to say.
Right.
To them.
Hand jobs for everybody.
you know, like they were just like, thank you so much. Or this was like so, and the stuff they were saying, it's just like
soup.
It's like,
Sorry. I'm ruining everything.
It's all right.
So yeah.
Yeah. It was indescribable.
It was indescribable. If part of me was almost like, is this what I should be doing with my life? Like, I want this feeling to last
I know.
forever.
I feel
like
the
now I have
same
to go
way.
back to my dumb job. You know,
Well, a lot of people are like, so this is happening
like I
next
want
month,
this
right?
to be my
Like,
life.
This is happening quarterly, right? This is happening every 6
Right.
months.
Right.
People were like, I would do this. I would come out and do it again. Like it was
Right.
that. Yeah. If it didn't take a ton of work and money, then I would do it all the time too. It'd be a great thing to do
Yeah.
more often. So that was Nerdfest. I apologize to listeners out there who
Yeah,
didn't attend
you don't
Nerdfest. Maybe
really-
don't give a shit.
Yeah,
but you know what?
Lowest downloaded
They don't
episode
allow it to be
because
the
people are gonna
same.
be like, I'm not listening to this.
Yeah.
But maybe it'll entice you to join us.
Yeah.
Come to Nerdfest next year, or maybe they gave you similar feelings of an event that you've run or been to that is in similar size. But on behalf of Natalie and Jeff, I want to thank every single person who came out, who helped, who was there and just had a good time. It just made. I mean, you can tell the way we're talking this episode. It made our entire year. It was a good way to start off 2023.
Agreed.
So that's going to do it for us tonight, everybody. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you can find us on Instagram at Gamecasters or at Mad Board Gamer. Both of those accounts service the podcast. We also have a Facebook group. Just search Gamecasters and you'll find us there. You can also email us at thegamecasterspodcast@gmail.com. If you like the show, we'd love it if you consider giving us a rating on Apple Podcasts or anywhere else you listen that allows you to rate us. We've also got a Patreon. If you want to support the show, feel free to head on over to patreon.com/thegamecasters. There's also a merch store where you can find all sorts of different Gamecasters, Mad Board Gamer, Gateway gear. So head on over to thegatewaynetwork.com/store. Please follow me and consider subscribing on Twitch at twitch.tv/Gamecasters. So for Natalie and Jeff the Mad Board Gamer, I'm Ryan, and you have been listening to The Gamecasters. Good night, everybody. All right, let's talk for just a couple minutes into the mics and see how it's weird. The waveform looks weird, but I think it sounded fine.
Okay.
I'll talk into the mic.
Me
How about you,
too.
Natalie? You want to talk into the mic?
I'd like talking into the mic.
Do you?
Yeah.
What if the mic is my penis?
Been a while. It's been like 4
talking
weeks.
to
We
it.
talk
since
on
we
to it then.
it's
got some
I'll talk into the side of it.
Of my penis?
Yeah. Isn't that how microphones work?
You like a hot thing? Oh, I was like,
Well,
it's like
yeah,
a-
these ones do, I guess. That's a good point. All right, let's see
fetish
what's
thing.
going on.